Hello, and welcome to episode 147 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian,
And I'm James.
and you can see us if you go to YouTube.
Hi.
Hi, yeah.
I was
So,
waving for those
yes,
of you who aren't watching.
this is our special video episode where we go over the cards from the new set, Innistrad Crimson Vow.
Mhm.
It seems as though Wizards has decided they're going to give us a new set every 2 months in perpetuity.
Yeah.
So,
And when does the double feature come out?
well, doesn't like Kamigawa Neon Evangelia or whatever the Gundam
That's
set.
January. So we have double feature before that.
Oh, the double features before that?
I think so, yeah.
Dear God, I thought it was
Yeah.
after it, but okay. It makes
No, I think
more.
it's before.
But yeah, we get another full standard legal set in 2 months.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yay.
So if you'd like to tweet at us some card that we missed that's going to be super awesome that we can all buy copies of now while they're low, you can get us at Casual Tripod on Twitter.
Oh yeah. I haven't even looked to see what pre-order prices for this set are. We spent a lot of the pre-show talking about how there's some cool cards in this set, but there's nothing that stands out to me like I gotta have that card.
Yeah.
So I bet you pre-order prices are kind of low. I should probably look into that.
Unless you want a 7 mana green mythic that lets you keep putting lands into play.
That's probably the only expensive one. Yeah. But yeah, you can also hit us up on Facebook at CasualTryHardMTG, or you can shoot us an email, show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. I've actually gotten a couple emails recently, so that's a good way to get a hold of us. Send us emails. I read them. If you're looking to pre-order any cards, we would appreciate it if you use our TCG player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. It's a real easy, free way for you guys to support the show. Just navigate to TCG player using that link, and anything you purchase after that, we will get a small percentage of to help keep the show going. If you guys want to support us a little bit more directly, you can do so at patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. Patrons get early access to show notes. So you know roundabouts the day before the show goes live what we're going to be talking about. You also get access to our pre-show, which normally comes out a couple days before that. And you get entered into my give back list. So every couple months I send a thank you out. Usually it's nothing too crazy, but it is something, and let you know that we appreciate you supporting the show. So sign up for Patreon, shoot me your address, and I'll add you to the list there. We also have our YouTube channel, Casual Tryhard MTG on YouTube. Typically, roundabouts when a set goes live on Arena, Brian will record some limited content. We'll put it up on YouTube. Typically, I will do box openings also when a new set comes out and put them up on YouTube. That's probably going to be a little bit delayed this set. From what I understand, the only thing available at pre-release are going to be draft booster boxes. There was shipping, supply chain issues, whatever. Seems like that's all I hear about lately are supply chain issues, but evidently there's supply chain issues and there's no set boxes or anything else. So you'll have to wait for me to get my hands on that stuff before I can do a box opening video. So it might be a little delayed. And this video will be on YouTube. This video we like to do live. You can see our faces, you can see the cards we're talking about, because it makes it a little bit easier to follow along if you can see the card we're talking about as we're talking about it. So if that sounds good to you, hop on over to our YouTube channel, Casual Tryhard MTG on YouTube, and watch it there. That way you get to see our smiling faces and follow along live in color. One more thing for our social media plug or whatever is our Discord channel. There's a link in the description. There's a link on all our social media. Jump in our Discord, have a chat. We were, what's the right word? Commended for our interaction with our audience by a couple different people in Discord this past week. So We try.
We try. James
Yep.
is carrying that.
Well, hop on over there if you want to talk to me. I usually
I
usually respond to stuff.
I jump in every so often, but James is the rock star of that.
Yep. So hop on over to our Discord. If you got any show ideas, or if there's stuff like quick questions you want answered, like if it's not a whole episode worth of stuff, a lot of times I'll just answer them in Discord. We've done, people post up deck lists and, try and help them out with, deck lists for FNM or whatever. If any of that's interesting to you, hop on over there and join in the Discord.
All right. So we've got a pile of cards to go through here.
A great big pile of cards. Yep.
So some of these things are like, hey, these might see play. Some of them are like, hey, these are interesting for like fill in the blank pet deck. There's a cutie like, oh, hey, fire design. This is now the best version of this card, just in case you didn't realize it. So, don't think all of these are like, 100% like these are the best and brightest of the set, but there are some that are interesting and some that we're going to think we see play. So it's kind of a wide range.
Yeah, I don't think that, a lot of times we talk about finance stuff like roundabouts when a set goes live, like maybe some spec targets or whatever, things to keep your eye on. This episode is not that. Like, don't think that every card that we're going to talk about today is going to, be undervalued and you can make money on, or that even you should pick up for decks. That's not really what this episode is for. We're just kind of talking about some interesting cards.
Yeah, like, I would like to have that, or that's interesting. Maybe it could do something in the future. So with that, we're going to start off in white.
We are.
He did not change the slide. There we go. So
we got a Fleeting Spirit. It's a 1 and a white for a 3/1 spirit, relevant creature type. You can pay a white and exile 3 cards from your graveyard to give Fleeting Spirit first strike till end of turn. And you can discard a card to flicker it. Yeah, exile it and then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So this is the latest in like a line of cards that do the same thing. We had the Vampire from Ixalan, right? Where you could discard a Danto Vanguard. You could discard a card and
no, you paid 4 life to give it.
Oh, that's right. That one you paid 4 life. The one from AFR, you discarded a card, right?
Hollow Blade was an AFR. It was
an AFR.
It was a core set before that. It's not standard legal right now. Season Hollow.
That's right.
Yeah, discard a card, it gets indestructible.
Yep.
Yeah, this is somewhere on that same continuum. Like, it doesn't survive a wrath, but it does the same kind of thing to like point removal.
It survives a wrath.
Oh, beginning of the next end step. Okay, I thought it just flickered. No, yeah. So it kind of
sorry, it's a blink, it's not a flicker.
Yeah. So it's similar.
Yeah.
Right. So it does a lot of the same things, but doesn't get the indestructible clause, which has some downsides. Right, you can't pile auras on it because if you blink it or flicker it or whatever, they all fall off.
Right.
Like it has a little bit different play pattern, but
it also has some upsides though. Like it triggers ETB effects. Like if you're playing like in a Johnny's Pride Mate life gain deck, this will trigger your Soul Warden. This also triggers Thalia's Lieutenant and Champion of the Parish.
It's not a human though.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. I was looking at the human in the picture. Yeah. No, you're right. It's a spirit.
Yeah, getting choked out.
Yeah.
So I mean it has some synergies, but I think that it's going to kind of play like just 3/1 beater.
And
it like it's just hard to kill. So
is there anything that's worth discarding right now where this discard a card to do something could be an upside? Because this is just a free discard outlet.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything. Do you have something in mind?
No, I was just a question. It, like I said, that like when we talk about this stuff, it's just kind of interesting cards, and
Yeah.
I thought this was templated interesting.
Yeah, no, you could. I don't think there's anything that you really want to discard.
Yeah.
To like for value.
Mhm.
I mean, there are flashback cards, so like you can discard stuff for air quotes free
Right.
that you can just like get the buyback later.
Mhm.
So that's like one way to use it.
Yeah, I
But
mean, you can also like hold priority and just like rip your hand apart.
yes, just dump your entire hand.
I don't know
Sadly,
if that's relevant for
then
anything, but
you get enduranced, and then it's all
yeah.
for naught. Whatever you were trying to do, shuffle it back in. No, my hand, my free one, get there, buddy. But it also feeds itself, right? You
Yeah.
get enough cards in your graveyard, you can give it flying.
First strike.
First strike. God, reading's so hard. It's fundamental, but so hard.
That's all right. I read This Spirit is Human after I read the card aloud. So
We're giving the people the accurate information they crave.
yeah. This is a spirit that gains first strike.
Okay, there we go. Fleeting spirit gains first strike. Well, all the words on the card. Okay.
Yep.
Next step, hopefully a card. Since the next one I suggested, hopefully I remember what it is. So, Voice of the Blessed. It is white for a creature cleric spirit, or spirit cleric, I should say. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Voice of the Blessed. So this is the Ajani's Pridemate text, but it's 2021 and it's a rare. So it also has, as long as Voice of the Blessed has 4 or more +1/+1 counters on it, it has flying and vigilance.
So it's a Sarah Angel.
A 6.
No, it's an Archangel, right?
Yeah, it's huge. And then if it has 10 or more counters on it, it has indestructible. You basically have won the game at that point.
Yeah, I can't imagine your opponent's still alive if this thing has 10 counters on it.
Yeah, like what like terrible, like they're playing Bitter Blossom and just chumping it forever. 20 turn clock, let's go.
Yeah.
And it's a 2/2 to start with. So this is just a turbocharged Johnny's Pride.
Yeah.
Right. This is, in the words of Saffron Olive, This is Good in Soul Sisters card for the set.
Mhm.
It's actually good in Soul Sisters.
It is.
So like I think we mentioned on the podcast, I played like a mono white life gain deck from 4 standards ago, was just like my I need to get white spells cast deck. And like I played the bad 1/1.
Yeah.
The one on the white 1/1 that does a Johnny's Pridemate. Like this is way better. This is way better than a Pridemate.
Yeah.
So like if you are trying to gain life, like this is the card that you want. And like we have Lunar Veteran, Innkeeper, and now we have this, and then the green white legend that like scries.
Yeah.
Right, like we have the beginnings of like a green white life gain deck.
Yep.
In standard. Now
this card's also kind of cool with Ozolith.
Oh yeah, just like puts a bajillion counters on it if it somehow dies.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, say you've traded off a couple Pridemates or whatever, like this thing just comes down and is indestructible.
Oh yeah, here's 12 flying vigilance indestructible.
Yeah.
Proceed. Yeah.
You build your own Marilash.
Yeah. All right. We have this one.
Yeah, Welcoming Vampire. This is one I wanted to talk about that nobody else wanted to. 2 and a white for a 2/3 flyer, which is kind of on par lately. Like we had, was it Redain was a 3 mana 2/3 flyer in white.
Yeah.
It seems like we've been getting like one of these. And this one I thought was interesting. It's whenever one or more other creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under you control, draw a card. But this triggers only once per turn. So this is kind of a way for your weenie deck to like catch up or store some cards in your hand kind of shield, quote unquote, shield yourself from a wrath. Like we had, was it Mentor of the Meek we had in standard not that long ago? This is a way better Mentor of the Meek.
Well, like Mentor was mana gated. You had to pay 1,
2, I think.
2, 1 or 2. I think you're right. I think it's 2.
Yeah.
I thought 2, and then I was like, it couldn't have been 2, but
no, I think it's 2.
But you could do that as long as you had mana.
Mhm.
This is like limited to 1 a turn, but like oftentimes the kind of deck this goes into is gonna go like wants to go like 1, 2, 3, with this being the 3,
Mhm.
and then play another 3 on turn 4.
Right.
Right? 'Cause you don't have anything else, and then you're just like, okay, I guess I get a card back because I played, a Redain, or I
Yeah.
played like a 2-drop. You're like, okay, I play a Thalia, you get a card,
Mhm.
and like just getting a card back
Or
is
the you played like the white adversary is 2 and 2, right? So it comes down on turn 4 and you put a counter on it and then you draw a card.
it's a 3/1.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I guess this doesn't play well with that anyway because it makes all your other stuff too big to trigger it.
Yeah. I mean, this also plays well with company, and like
Yeah.
the green white. There was like a green white company deck that ran around historic for a little bit.
Mhm.
And so like welcoming vampire, like you Coco into it, and then you get it, and then you draw a card off of, hopefully the other thing that came into play with it.
Yeah.
And then okay.
One other thing that this plays good with are like token generators.
Mhm.
Like if you play like Legion's Landing and get it to flip, you
Yeah.
get to draw a card you get to draw a card on your turn if you play a nerd, and then you can activate it on your opponent's turn and draw another card. Or the White Castle Ardenvale. Same thing.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a solid card that we'll probably see play. It's like an odd creature type.
Yeah.
Like if it were a human, it would like slot into all those pre-existing human decks.
Yeah.
But being a vampire, you don't get the on-tribe synergies.
Right.
But I mean, it's a way for white to draw cards, which is something we always say white needs. So
Mhm.
I mean, and I'm sure like it would be super gross if it was, if it wasn't limited to once each turn.
Oh, then it'd just be a Cheerios piece.
Yeah. Cheerios.
Yeah, you just play all your X creatures and just turn them into other creatures. It's
Yeah.
like better fecundity.
Yes. Can't have nice things. All right. Next up. So this weird, like, it's a zombie horse.
That's a centaur.
It's a centaur, but it doesn't have a human head. It's a
Right.
horse head with like a human torso and then a horse body.
Yeah. It's a cobbled lancer.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently you can only cobble from the middle of the person.
Right.
All right.
It's just his heart, just where it counts.
Yes, just where it counts.
Yeah.
All right. So what does this guy do?
Cobbled Lancer is a single blue mana for a 3/3 zombie horse. A 1 mana 3/3 is obviously way above rate, so it has a downside. As an additional cost to cast this spell, exile a creature card from your graveyard. And then it has an activated ability that's 3 and a blue, exile Cobbled Lancer from your graveyard to draw a card.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I hadn't heard anybody else talk about it. We mentioned it quick in the pre-show, but we don't normally get cards like this.
No.
So I wanted to talk about it because of that. And anytime you have like a 1 mana efficient beater, I think it's worth talking about just in general. I don't know that we have all the pieces for like a mono blue poopers deck, but this could be, a piece of that. It doesn't have evasion, but just something that comes down ahead of curve and can apply some pressure is what that deck wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's what is that bad card? Gosh. It's 1 blue mana you can like look at the top 3 cards of your library. You can put any number in your graveyard.
Oh yeah.
Right. I forget what it's called. It's from Kaldheim. But right, you could use that to like stock your graveyard to be able to cast this like early in the game. And there's also a flying man in this set that has disturbed and becomes +1/+1 and give creature flying.
Oh
So,
yeah.
Right, if you mill that over, you could either be food for your Cobbled Lancer or pants for your Cobbled Lancer.
Right.
So yeah, there's there could be something, but like I guess like the kind of the mono blue tempo decks, right? Like they're usually pretty spell heavy, which
And
makes
this doesn't want that.
Yeah, this wants you to play a bunch of creatures.
Yeah.
Right, like if you could stick this and then Fading Hope something, right? Play the Delver plan, but not being standard, not never be able to flip your Delver. Right, like that would be great.
So like the last card we talked about some Cheerios creatures with, like they kind of work with this guy too, right? I mean, you're down a card, which obviously isn't necessarily where you want to be, but if you play a 0 mana that just dies, you can play this on turn 1, a turn 1 3/3.
Yeah.
Or I was thinking, I don't think this is quite modern power level, but you cycle a Street Wraith and this thing's live.
The cycle of the Street Wraith is interesting. I guess there's not another creature that does the Street Wraith thing. It's the other 0 mana cycler is Edge of Autumn.
Yeah.
But no, cycle Street Wraith is
cycle Street Wraith, block your Ragavan.
We broke it. We fixed all the problems.
Cobbled Lancer. It's your time to shine, horse zombie guy thing.
Horse zombie guy thing. Let's go. You're on the team now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the 4 mana like exile a draw card. I mean, that's not nothing.
Right.
Like if you're self-milling, it just lets you like refill at the end of towards the end of the game. Or like, God forbid they used a removal spell on it. And then you get to get your card back later in the game.
Yeah.
It's also a way to dredge from the graveyard.
It is.
Yeah. Guess it's a deck you can't play in Modern.
Not when there's endurances running around.
Yeah, and white exile all black and red cards from graveyards.
Yeah.
And black Leyline of the Void that kills you.
Yeah.
Not bitter at all. Next up, we have Consuming Tide. Each player chooses a non-land permanent they control. Return all non-land permanents not chosen this way to their owner's hands. Then you draw a card for each opponent who has more cards in their hand than you.
Yeah. So this is kind of like what was that card that we used to have like this? Whelming Wave?
That is Whelming Wave.
It was like all non-octopus, non-krakens or whatever.
Sea creatures. Yeah, the sea creatures stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is like I think in standard or even like this, I think this is just a commander card. Right?
Yeah.
But like you run the risk of like your opponent just gets to keep their best thing.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is your opponent gets like it doesn't really catch you up because your opponent still has that thing you can't deal with.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, it's you could like play it like an upheaval and be like, tap all my mana, pick everything up and replay all my stuff. But yeah, it still doesn't deal with the fact they have, whatever, a doubling season, an Ulamog, or whatever the kids are doing in Commander these days.
Yeah.
So
typically these cards aren't great. We had River's Rebuke saw some play. But that was kind of a better version of this.
Yeah, that was target opponent picks everything up.
Yeah.
Everyone on land stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a brief week where I played like blue-green tokens and would just River's Rebuke people. Like I need to deal with it. Bloop, pick it all up. So you do just run into the problem of like you pick everything up, they pick everything up, except for, like you said, the thing you couldn't deal with your best thing.
Right.
It's still there.
Yep.
All right,
Not
next,
ideal.
not ideal. Yeah, the giant Kraken horror who kind of looks like a mantis shrimp.
Oh, he really does. Too many legs though. Arms?
Arms.
They have claws.
I'm not a
So
fan.
many claws.
So many claws. They got their little their little claw that causes the cavitation bubble.
Yeah.
It's the surface of the sun. All right. So we have Hallbreaker Horror, 5 blue for a Kraken Horror, 7/8. It has flash. It
Ooh.
can't be countered. And whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1. Return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So it's like the kinder, gentler Tidespout Tyrant.
Mhm.
I think it's fine. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's cool.
like, I don't know.
I don't want to pay 7 mana for it. I want to find a way to cheat it in, but it's cool.
I saw someone say it's kind of like Pearl Lake Ancient, where you're just like, hey, let me flash this thing in.
Yeah.
Like, it's like your control finisher. You know it's going to resolve. It doesn't have like hexproof, but as long as you can like keep a consider at the ready,
Yeah.
right? It kind of has like protection.
Yep.
And then you like know it's going to, like be around. Also, like it can bounce itself.
Oh yeah, that's cute.
So they're like, hero's downfall. And you're like, well, I don't want to bounce the hero's downfall because I'm in the exact same situation I was. So I'm gonna bounce my Hallbreaker Horror, which is a 7 mana decision, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, but like you were comparing it to Pearl Lake Ancient. Like Pearl Lake Ancient made you pick up 3 lands
and pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Pearl Lake Ancient was something that we played like 7 years ago.
Right. Yeah. Card is laughable by today's standards.
So yeah, I don't know how good this is, especially like when you have a Cyclone Summoner.
Yeah.
Right. As like,
Cyclone Summoner is a little bit different though.
It bounces all the non-giants, right?
Yeah. And it's not like repeatable. Like you can't use that to keep a board clear like you can this.
Yeah, but I was thinking more like you're behind, right? If you're behind against like mono white.
Yeah.
Would you rather Hullbreaker Horror or Cyclone Summon? I think you'd rather summon, right?
Yeah.
Just pick up all of their things. So I guess it's kind of what does the format look like?
Mm-hmm.
But like you could see, oh gosh, like in Control Mirrors, you like just flash this guy in end of turn and they're just like, I guess it resolves.
No, it definitely resolves. You can try to counter it, it won't work.
Yeah. But I guess I'm boned here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like, but that could be a reason like for blue black to be better, right? Because like blue red could never kill this.
Right.
Right. So no, I think it's interesting. I think like it's one of those cards that it's like kind of a better, kind of a fixed version of an old card.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's almost
I don't really remember the text on Tidespout. How is this worse than Tidespout?
It doesn't say non-land on Tidespout.
Oh, okay.
So like the play pattern sometimes in like Reanimator was like get my Tidespout, reanimate it, play a Lotus Petal, pick up your land.
Gotcha.
You just stone rain them for like every turn.
Yeah.
So the fact this is non-land, you lose that like, turn 2, you never get to have more than 1 land play pattern. But
isn't bounce a spell almost the same as pick up a land though?
It is, but like you have to have instants.
Yeah.
Right. Where like your Lotus Petals could be used to like pick, like you could like if they had 2 lands, you could be like Lotus Petal, pick one up, crack my petal, faithless you.
Yeah.
So it's different. Like I could see this, like this probably has a home in like sea creature EDH. There's a phrase I never thought I would say before.
Well, what about in Modern Reanimator? Like, I know we just outlined all of the reasons why Modern Reanimator is not a good idea, but like that deck did exist for a brief period
Yeah.
post Modern Horizons 2, and I know there's still people working on it. Like,
Mhm.
you could put this in your bin and use Persist on it. It's not legendary.
Yeah, no, you could do that. I mean, but you could also Tidespot Tyrant too.
Oh, that's true.
Right. So I don't know. I think they're different. Because I mean, I'm sure there are definitely times where like you'd much rather have this and just like, just keep bouncing a permanent they already have.
Mhm.
But it's right. It's 2021 Magic where they're like, we don't want you to bounce lands. That's not fun.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, that's what made that card really good was the land portion of it. But like in standard, if like, blue black control is a thing, right? You could see where you're just in a situation where you're like end of turn, Hullbreaker Horror, and then you have a mana up for, whatever instant to protect it. And then the game just comes about them trying to sneak enough spells by, casting the same Infernal Grasp. Infernal Grasp? Yeah. Infernal Grasp like 3 times to actually finally kill it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, here's another one. Let's go. Oh,
I've drawn so many cards.
Or you just flash in the other one and bounce the Infernal Grasp because it's any spell.
That's right.
Yeah. So, all right. Next up. I have no idea what this is.
This is Lunar Rejection. 1 in a blue for an instant. Says return target wolf or werewolf creature to its owner's hand, draw a card. And it has Cleave for 3 in a blue. And Cleave we talked about last week, and I'm not going to rehash the whole thing, but basically, if you pay its Cleave cost, this becomes return target creature to its owner's hand, draw a card. So this is kind of like Into the Royal or Blink of an Eye.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of. Like worse.
Right.
Like kind of a bonkers limited card.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know if it's good enough for standard. Like for like Blink of an Eye, Into the Royal are good because they like bounce anything on 2 mana. Right. So now,
yeah,
like,
but this you don't have to pay extra to draw a card, so you can like, if you tag a pack or a pack master or whatever,
pack leader or whatever.
Pack leader, yeah.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like if you're playing, like it might be a sideboard card. Like if mono green stays a thing, they play a couple wolves, right?
Yeah.
They play that, and they play the what was the weird mythic cycle from the last set?
Adversary.
They play the green adversary.
Yeah.
Right. You just like they do that, then you stone rain them because you bounce one of their lands and draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's okay. So yeah, like this might be more of a sideboard card in constructed though.
Well, this only ever hits creatures.
Yes, it only ever hits creatures.
Yeah. You said stone rain them.
Yeah, because they turn their lands into wolves.
Oh, I gotcha. Yep.
With the green adversary.
Yep, I gotcha.
You wouldn't target the adversary,
right?
Target the land.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, but that's the only way. Like,
yeah.
So, like I could see it against like mono green, especially like if the new cemetery cycle, if that card sees some play in that deck.
The token that Ranger class makes is a wolf, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So yeah, you could.
So this hits that also.
You like turn 2, yeah. So like against mono green, you've got probably 10 10 targets for the 2 mana part, and then you have infinite targets for the 4 mana
Right.
mode. So like, yeah, I think sideboard card is something like in the blue decks, like, because this is better than like Fading Hope against mono green.
Mhm.
So there is the weird, like, is it chill, or that's red cards? The like the flash enchantment that like ices something down. I think it
Yeah.
ice just red cards.
Like
This-
this is also kind of cool because you can tag a red and 7 token too, right? I mean, Fading Hope could also, but
Yeah, for the 4 mana part, right?
yeah, for 4 mana. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you're like, that's going to happen later in the game when you have extra mana.
Yeah. No, agreed. So yeah, I guess it does. It seems like a very good card against mono green, is where I've kind of settled out.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, also this guy's chest, very, very dark and defined in the nipply region.
I think this card's great. I love everything about it.
Overcharged Amalgam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We've seen this before. The story does not often end well. All right, so Overcharged Amalgam, 2 blue for a zombie horror. That's a 3/3. It has flash. It has flying. It has exploit. So when it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature, and then when it exploits a creature, counter target spell, activated ability or triggered ability. So this is a 4 mana counter spell.
Mhm.
If you have no other creatures in play.
Right.
Right? It can exploit itself.
Mhm.
If you have other creatures, it's just the Frilled Mystic.
Right.
Right. Well, a better Frilled Mystic.
Yeah. Flying.
Yeah, the cards like kind of does whatever you want.
Frilled Mystic didn't hit activated or triggered abilities, though, did it?
Oh no, this hits more stuff than a Frilled Mystic.
Yeah.
Right, but like that play pattern of hold up your mana, and then like, okay, you played something, I will, sack some like trash creature to counter it.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, let's pick on mono green again. Like your opponent casts a red and 7. I mean, I guess you would just counter the red and 7, but you could like say they resolve their red and 7, you could counter the ability, and then you have a 3/3 to attack it.
Yeah.
Or like they go to crew a chariot. Like if they already had a red and 7 and they go to crew a chariot, you're like, no, I'll counter that and then Kraken.
And yeah, because they can't make a copy of their tree folk. Yeah. No, like it. So you have the play pattern of I have this up for man to counter something, and then your fail case can just be 3/3 flyer.
Right.
So it does the Brazen Borrower thing, where like you don't have a clock, and then all of a sudden now the game is I've got to deal with this 3/3.
Right.
And presumably you're gonna have like 2 other counter spells in your hand, and you're just gonna like lean on this thing to like take you to the promised land.
You know what else this does?
What?
It bounces something if you have Hullbreaker Horror in play.
It does. It does. I will flash this in, bounce that permanent, counter that spell. All right, cool. I will see you after the match. Because I have now won. Please sign the slip. It's game 1. I said sign the slip.
Sign the slip.
Can't recover from this. So like this card, I guess there's like I feel like there has to be stuff you want to sacrifice on the front end. Right? You've got to like you don't get to do just the pure like mono blue or blue green flash thing of like, you've got to put a little bit more work into it. But anything that you even like kind of want to sacrifice a little bit is going to be really good with this card.
Mhm.
So yeah, like this card like could
Any of
be,
the disturbed stuff.
yeah. What I was gonna say, like you can't right, like you can't spell pierce it,
Right.
right? Or like you can't negate it. So it's a way that you could like win a counter fight.
Mhm.
Like they bring in negates and you're like, all right, I'll bring in my 4-mana creature counterspell. So there is an awkward thing that, like, let's say they have the exploit trigger on the stack, and they like, go to sacrifice and they sacrifice something. You can kill this with the trigger on the stack,
Right.
and then they won't be able to counter the spell.
Right.
Because like if it hasn't exploited and then the exploit resolves and they sack a creature for some reason, this isn't on the battlefield anymore to do the thing.
Mhm.
So just keep that in mind, that like you can turn off the counter if you have to.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have
Patchwork Crawler. So-
combo boy.
1 in a blue for a 1/2 zombie horror. You can pay 2 in a blue and exile a creature card from your graveyard and put a +1/+1 counter on Patchwork Crawler. And Patchwork Crawler has all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with it. So it's kind of like Necrotic Ooze, but not as good, I don't think.
Yeah, it costs mana.
Yeah, it costs mana.
Where Necrotic Ooze is just like, I am now these.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the like quote combos with Necrotic Ooze really need like 4 or 5 different creatures in your graveyard to work.
Mhm.
So that would be really mana intensive with this guy.
For infinite mana, you only need 2 things.
So that's 8 mana.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's pretty mana intensive.
it is. But like, it's easier, I think, to assemble 2 things at 8 mana than it is to assemble 5 things in 4 mana. Because like it doesn't have to be all 8 mana at once, right? You could like Patchwork Crawler, activate, exile a thing, and then next turn activate, and then like, in our Magical Christmas lane, you're infinite on turn like 4. So the one combo I saw was Incubation Druid.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's just a bunch of mana
with Glimmerbell.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that has like a pay less than 3 mana and untap, just goes infinite with Patchwork Crawler.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this was a Saffron Olive like short. You can also Biomancer's Familiar to lower the activation cost of his exile.
Oh yeah.
So like you could Biomancer's Familiar, Patchwork Crawler, pay 1, exile a thing. So not like it's not the most competitive thing in our like hyper efficient like formats, but like I'm to the point now where I'm like looking at things and I'm like, maybe I'm okay with against the odds decks. It's just like, oh, that's
maybe
a
Saffron Olive's onto something.
Yeah, that's a fun thing to do. I would like to have some fun. Yeah. And maybe if I get to do this thing once, I'll have some fun. And I'll just be sitting in my room alone going, I did it. And my fish will look at me and like, stop, just go away. Leave me alone. The baby, I'll be like, why are your hands up? I'll put my hands up too. I like it. Yeah, I started.
I did the thing.
We were watching a show, a trivia show, and I was like, I got something right. I was like, yo, yeah. And then he just looked at me and then looked over and just put his hands up. And like, yay. So he's got that in his bag now. So yeah, so if I do the Patchwork Crawler thing, maybe I'll get a 16-month-old to be like, yay. All right, perfect. There we go. Perfect. We did it. Put that on
both things.
We did both things. All right. I had not noticed the art was just this guy standing on a pile of hands or just making a pile of hands.
Yeah, I think he just is a pile of hands.
It's weird. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It scares me. All right. Next up, another combo boy.
Yep. We got a Storm Chaser Drake, 1 in the blue for a 2/1 creature Drake. It has flying, and whenever it becomes the target of a spell you control, draw a card.
So this is kind of like, it's almost just like a storm card.
Yeah.
Right. You play a bunch of the like, you know, like there's some targeted like crash through effects. Like target creature gains, like there's one in this set. Target creature gets plus X plus X plus O, where X is the number of copies of that card in the graveyard.
Draw a card.
Draw a card. You're like, cool, I'll draw 2.
Yep.
Or there's another one that's draw a card. There's a couple blue ones from like older sets that are like, this is unblockable, draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what you can do with it, but it seems like there's something.
Yeah, it's it's not another. It's a guy that's reasonable to put pants on because you get paid back for your pants right away. Yeah. So like if you put a curiosity or a curious obsession or whatever on this thing, like you get your card up front, even if they kill it in combat, and then you go to combat and maybe you get another card.
I hadn't even put 2 and 2 together. It's Core Spirit Dancer.
I mean, it's part of Core Spirit Dancer.
Yeah, it's part of course, but it's like that same effect, or Saram.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Like if you're right, it's worse in that it has to target it, but it is the same kind of effect.
Yeah, but it also has evasion, and Spirit Dancer and SRAM don't have evasion.
Yeah, like, so you could see like, there is a blue-white auras deck like in Historic, right? And like you've just given it like an extra
Spirit Dancer
effect.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's a worse one, but like, I don't know, I'd rather have 12 of that effect. Even if one of them is, if 2 of them are A pluses, and then one's like, a B plus, or a B, like that's way better than not having 9 through 12.
Right.
Yeah, no, this definitely has a home somewhere.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I dig it.
Right, like you get rid of the black, like return this to the battlefield, like Kaya's ghost form for like dive downs.
Yeah.
Or
like a curious obsession or curiosity, or what's the staggering insight?
Yeah, there's definitely a blue-white deck that plays staggering insight. Like how much better than Hushbringer is this? Right, Hushbringer has flying and lifelink. This just fills your hand up again, and they happily play Hushbringer.
Yeah, like Hushbringer, like when I remember that deck being around, Hushbringer was there for the hate piece though.
Yeah, but like I don't know if Historic has any creatures that like ETB and do a thing, or not many.
Yeah.
Right. So no, this is interesting. This is more, now that we talk about it, it's more interesting than I initially thought. I've learned. Cool. Yes. Next up. Oh, we thirsty now.
They're so thirsty.
Watsy just posting thirst traps all over the place.
That's right.
Now this is thirst for discovery.
Yeah, make sure you hydrate.
Yeah. Hydrate. Put it on a cracker, dude. You know that guy?
No.
There's this like Cajun cook that like he like cooks stuff, and he's got this really thick accent, and whenever he gets something, but first we gotta hydrate, and he like has a mini beer bong for like Natty Lights. He like pulls it out of his pocket and beer bombs to Natty Light, and then like makes Cajun food.
Okay.
It's stale something is like what he goes by. I forget what it is. Anyway, so Thirst for Discovery, 2 and a blue, instant. Draw 3 cards. Discard 2 cards unless you discard a basic land. All of these cards, okay, most of these cards have been playable.
Mhm.
What was Thirst for? Was it Thirst for Meaning? Was the discarded?
Yeah, I think so.
Like that wasn't standard playable. This is just discard a basic land.
Right.
Like
Your standard deck has basic lands in it.
Yeah, this is like was it Compulsive Research was a sorcery discard a land, right?
Mhm.
So like this is a little worse because it limits it to basic,
Right.
but better because it's an instant.
Yes.
So like this feels like it's playable.
It's a instant speed cantrip for the Kraken.
It is. We're just trying to bounce as many things as we can with the Kraken. Mr. 8 mana is a lot of mana. Kraken for 7. Hold up Thirst for Discovery. 10 mana. Let's go. Let's go. No, I think this is good. Like, I guess the issue is like, where does it fit in standard?
Mhm.
Right? Like the Epiphany decks could play it, but they're already playing the treasure thing, the like ramp.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they want that. And they also have expressive iteration that they do on 3.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't better than expressive iteration, I don't think.
No. Like expressive iteration is breaking legacy. I don't think Discovery will do that.
No.
But it's also, a reasonable, reanimator type card.
Mhm.
Right? You're like, okay, draw, discard some creatures. It's an instant speed. So again, like, but like unlike the Thirst for Meaning, where you don't get to be up a card unless you discard an enchantment, like if you just are like, I just need cards, right? Discarding a land is not a huge cost.
Yeah.
So no, I think this is good.
Yeah.
But again, like what Thirst for Discovery and Compulsive Research, were printed like 15 years ago.
Mhm.
And like those were different times, as we often so
Player design.
yeah. Next up, we're into black cards now.
We are. This is one I added.
All right.
Archghoul of Thraben. It's 2 and a black for a 3/2 zombie cleric. Whenever Archghoul of Thraben or another zombie you control dies, look at the top card of your library. If it's a zombie card, you may reveal it and put it in your hand. If you don't put the card in your hand, you may put it into your graveyard. Do you know why I put this card on here?
Why?
For rally decks.
So I was thinking the same thing. They printed like 4 cards that like go into rally decks. And the problem is that they're all like 3 mana.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like just 3 mana value has become 2 green, where they're like, we can do anything.
Anything we want.
Any wild amount of text if it costs 3 mana.
Yep.
So no, like for rally decks or anything where you're like, mass like sacrificing things. This is your like, they printed 2 zombie sweeper protection cards. And this is one of your like, all right, I'm gonna go like 1, 2, 3 with my zombies. And
so did you ever play like the actual rally deck back in standard?
No.
So that deck played Sifter of Skulls. Do you remember that guy? It's a 1 green black 2/3, or was it Catacomb Sifter?
Catacomb Sifter.
Yeah. Because it let you sack things and scry.
Yes.
So this guy kind of fills that role. Like that card had been missing from the like the zombie rally decks in like Pioneer, and I think this fills that role. What was good about the Catacomb Sifter was you could, like, if a lot of times you would set up like a value rally and then use your value rally to set up your combo rally either right then or the next turn. And this guy does the same thing. You can, use your board to find your rally. And then, once you find your rally, you stop putting stuff in your bin and you just draw the rally and then go off. Sack the rest of your board to, keep filling your yard up and then cast your rally and do it all over again. So this guy does a little bit different work. Like it makes the zombie decks play a little bit more like the old school rally decks.
Yeah, didn't Catacomb Sifter let you sack, or did it just if something died you scried?
I don't remember now. It might not have been a sack outlet. I think it was just when something died you scried.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, same kind of thing. But this is kind of better than scry because you draw the card. But
or you put it in your graveyard.
Yeah, but it limits you to zombies.
Right. So yeah, but I think those rally decks in like Pioneer and stuff were zombie decks anyway.
Yeah, we need rally.
We do.
Let us have fun.
Yep.
All right. This card seems...
It's not okay, right?
This next card seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
So this is Blood Vial Purveyor. It is 2 black, Flample, Flying Trample, for a 5/6.
That's a big flampler.
Now, normally, those words are accompanied by a drawback that is like you have to sacrifice a creature, or it punches you in the face for 5, or your opponent
cut off one of your toes every upkeep.
Yeah, your opponent can sacrifice a creature and tap the thing so it never attacks. What is the upside? What is the downside? Whenever your opponent casts a spell, that player creates a blood token. Okay. Okay. That's not my guy still gets to bash, right? It does. Oh, and when it bashes, it gets +1/+0 for each blood token defending player controls until the end of turn. They forgot to add that last part on, so they're eroding it.
Yeah.
Who does your proofreading multi-million-dollar company? Come on now.
The interns.
The interns. The same guy that's trying to put a spectator mode on Arena also has to read all the cards to make sure there are no typos before they go to print.
Poor guy. Maybe if they took the chains off, he'd be able to work faster.
Yeah, they're weighing him down. Be like a Rock Lee situation. The chains come off and he's just blindingly fast. Get fixed. So this just annihilates a dragon.
Oh yeah.
Right. It comes down a turn early. And if for some reason you decided not to attack with it, it just eats their gold span.
Right.
It brick walls everything in mono white.
So what I thought was really interesting about this card is it incentivizes your opponent to just spin their wheels. Because if they want to cast anything, they make these blood tokens, right? Mm-hmm. And then this thing just gets enormous from them just casting spells. So it's incentivizing your opponent to spend mana to, I get they get some sort of card selection, but not only do they have to cast their spell, but now they have to get rid of this blood token. Otherwise, this blood vial purveyor is huge. Yeah, I mean, it's huge to begin with, but
it is a situation where if the spell they're casting isn't a removal spell, they just get killed faster.
Right.
If they're I'm going to cast a Consider, and now it's if I didn't find a removal spell. If I don't sack this blood token, I'm going to take 6, and that puts me at 12, and I'm on a 2-turn clock now.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll use my
Or if
mana.
they like expressive iteration, don't find a removal spell, and then consider trying to dig for a removal spell. Like, I mean, this thing just gets massive.
Yeah, I mean, I think the blood tokens make the late game difficult for
Yeah.
you, right? Because they're going to turn their like excess lands into gas. But Blood Vial Purveyor makes it so you don't get to the late game.
That's what I was just gonna say. This will end the game very quickly.
Yeah. And I mean, there's some other black cards that we have that also end a game in a hurry.
Mhm.
So, like, these are just wild stats. And, like, the downside isn't that big of a downside.
No, I don't think so.
So, if it's possible for there to be, like, a black deck in the current format, like, this thing is played in that deck.
For sure.
It's probably not as good as Rankle, because like Haste did a lot of work with Rankle. I mean, they're very different.
Like Rankle being a removal spell was also what like those kind of black decks wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think that this is that same. Like if this is going to see play in a deck, I think it's going to be close to like the mono black control that we had when was it Desecration Demon was in standard, where that was the only creature. It was like that and Pack Rats were the only creatures in the deck.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was discard spells and removal and maybe a couple like Read the Bones or something. But it was, that's all you did was you killed things and you ripped their hand apart so their hand didn't function.
Oh, and it also had Mutavault.
Oh, that's true. We had Mutavault.
I mean, we
have Hive of the Eye Tyrant.
And we have Faceless Haven.
Oh yeah, that's right. We got Faceless Haven too.
Right. So they're harder to activate, but you have creature lands that hit way harder.
Yeah.
Than a Mutavault did.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have a
we don't have Thoughtseize.
Yeah, and what was it Underworld Connection?
Underworld Connections, yeah. A way to refill.
Draw cards. We don't have a way to like draw cards like that in black. Right? Like this is where you need Castle would be good.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, this like I also think this could be like the top end of like a black aggro deck.
Mm-hmm.
Where you go like 1, 2, 3, 4, or like, and then like they have to kill this, and then the next turn you get a blocker out of the way and you hit them for 7 with your other things.
Yeah.
Because they just can't let this hang out.
Like your black aggro deck also can ramp into this. Because you play Shambling Ghast.
Yeah, Shambling Ghast and Deadly Dispute. Like you just do this on like every game.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. All right. Next up. This one's what I put on here. Dread.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean Thoughtseize?
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's black for a sorcery. Target player reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it with mana value 2 or less. That player discards that card. It has a cleave cost for 2 and a black, and it removes the mana value restriction. So then you just get any card for 3 mana.
Any non-land card.
Any non-land card. So this I thought is the Pioneer Inquisition.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It's not as good as Inquisition, right? Like 3 mana is a pretty big mana value to miss, but it does have the ability, like in a world of like mono Loris, right? Mm-hmm. It hit every non-Loris card in their deck,
right?
And if push came to shove, you could trade your 3rd turn for their 3rd turn. If they're like, fine, I'll pay 3 mana, get Loris. And you're like, fine, I'll pay 3 mana, discard your Loris.
Yeah.
Right. So like the fact that it's also like, if there is a ramp Tron type deck, right, where like drawing an Inquisition is just like a dead card.
Right. It's not actually dead.
Like you could just be like, fine, 3 mana, I'll get your big ramp target that you haven't had a chance to play yet.
Yeah. Like this card might actually be good in standard too, though, because in the Dragon Epiphany decks or whatever, we talked about expressive iteration a bunch and how like that card's breaking formats, and like expressive iteration is kind of what makes that deck work because it lets them, set up to cast their gold span or their epiphany or whatever.
Yeah.
And this tags iteration.
Yeah.
And like they don't want to play their iteration till 3. So like you have 2 turns to cast this.
Yeah. And you have the and it just like can wreck a draw where they like keep 2 iteration. And they're like, oh, it's fine. I'm gonna have like 3 looks at my 3rd land on turn 3 or 4, right? Your draw step, and then if they don't hit their land, right, because they didn't have their expressive iteration,
Mhm.
like you just hobble them. I don't know how many other hits there are in that deck.
Yeah.
For like the 1 mana mode.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd have to look at a deck list. I really don't know.
But it also runs into the same like weird problem of like the like foretell problem where you're like, fine, like I can have this in my deck against like mono white because I can tag like their Thalia or their Luminarch Aspirate. But then against Epiphany, I can just pay 3 and get their 7 mana. Oh wait, no, they put it in the exile zone. I can never touch it. This sucks.
Yeah.
So, but like I think in Pioneer and like the attrition-y, Jundi discard kind of decks, like this is just like, I'm sure it's not like a 4F.
Yeah.
But like you could see 2 of these to get up to like 6 1-mana discard effects. And just happy with it.
Yep.
All right. Next up.
So this is one I put on here. This is Dying to Serve. It's a 3 mana do nothing enchantment. 2 and a black for an enchantment that does nothing when it enters a battlefield.
Yay.
But whenever you discard 1 or more cards, create a tap 2/2 black zombie creature token. This ability triggers once per turn. So this might be a way to build an army with that guy we talked about earlier.
The choke him out spirit.
The choke him out spirit.
Yeah. That was my first thought when I saw it when you had up here. I mean, like this, we've had cycling too recently, but like this screams like this is like a cycling payoff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I don't know. Like, but we just had cycling in Ikoria. I can't imagine them bringing it back so quickly.
Yeah.
And like, time is condensed for me now. Like, I don't remember how far like Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation were from
Ikoria.
Was it like 3 years?
No. 2 years?
Was it 2?
Yeah. We went from Ikoria, or we went from Amonkhet into the War of the Spark block.
Yeah. And Throne.
And then Throne.
About 2 years. So like maybe they bring it back sooner because it's a mechanic everyone likes. Because like I didn't feel like there was a ton of discard in this set. Like maybe I'm like wrong, but I didn't feel like there was like a ton.
What do you think about is there anything we can do in historic with like the Root Walla and Hollow One? Faithless Looting.
Yeah, I mean, Faithless Looting makes all that stuff work, right? So you play like I don't know, like I think the problem is like historic is kind of that point of modern where it's like, oh, so what was your big turn? Well, okay, turn 3 I played this thing that did nothing. All right, cool. And then turn 4 I played Faithless Looting, and I discarded 2 Basking Root Wallas, and I paid 0 mana for them, and then I got a 2/2. And it's like, oh, cool. What did your opponent do? Oh, they comboed me into the ground any number of ways, or attacked me for 20.
Yeah.
Or whatever. They played 9 Lies in Solemnity, and I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So like
they activated their book.
any number of things. Yes, they booked me. People booking people in historic?
I don't know.
I can get behind that. Like, cool. Here's your Field of Ruin check. Do you have one? Oh, nope. Concession time. Woohoo! Yeah, no, I don't know. Like, I don't think there's anything right now that like makes you think like, oh yeah, this would be great. I mean, they did.
Oh, you know what you can do with this?
What can you do?
Zombie hunt. We have zombie infestation. This just makes more zombies.
So
you can take your turn 2 off to cast zombie infestation, and then you can take your turn 3 off to cast dying to serve, and then you can discard cards whenever you want and make lots of zombies.
we did it. We're done.
Yep.
We're done. It's great.
Yep, we found the line. So many zombies.
So many zombies.
You can discard 2 cards on your turn and make 2 zombies, and then you can discard 2 cards on your opponent's turn and make 2 zombies.
For those of you who aren't watching the video, I changed the slide.
All right, moving on.
So we have
to an actual card.
We have Graph Reaver, 1 in a black for a 3/3 zombie warrior. It has exploit. When it exploits a creature, destroy target planeswalker. So it's a 2-mana sorcery speed, kill a planeswalker.
2-mana sorcery speed, like sacrifice your shambling ghast, put a neg1 counter on something, destroy your planeswalker.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Now for the drawback, beginning of your upkeep, Graph Reaver deals 1 damage to you. Now, just for the folks at home, quick math. Graph Reaver puts your opponent on a 7-turn clock.
Right.
He puts you on a 20-turn clock.
Right.
7 less than 20. So I think you're fine.
Yeah.
Like a curve of, what's his name? Perished champion.
Champion of the Perished.
Yeah, champion of the Perished. Into this, attack you for 2, then like play another zombie, hit you for 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And then you're just like off tribe blood vial purveyor. Go. Like take 9 and you're good.
Yep.
Like I think this like holds together like makes a like black aggressive zombies deck a black aggressive zombies deck.
Mm-hmm.
Champion of the Perished in this, and then any 3-drop zombie and you're attacking for 6 on turn 3. Like there's not a like if you like got frisky and you went blue black, then you have like the pseudo lord that gives everything +1 +0. Right. And you're just like, okay, turn 3, take 8.
Yeah. We have another, I mean, it's not zombie themed, but we have another like aggressive black creature too, that slaughter specialist from the last set.
Oh yeah, that gives them a nerd.
Yeah, but it like makes it bigger whenever something dies.
Yeah. Yeah, like we have 2 2-mana 3/3s in black. Yeah, no, you could just like getting in there with like big undercosted things. Like I think this drawback is significantly less of a drawback
Than giving them a token.
than giving them a token.
Yeah.
I mean, and what was it? Is it Carnophage was the old card?
Yeah. That was a 3-drop though, right?
No, it was a 2-drop, but you lost 2 life.
Okay.
Each turn. So like this is half the drawback, plus it has Planeswalker removal spell stapled onto it.
Yep.
Like, so like it's not at like no point is it like ever, well, I guess if you're at 1, it's dead. But other than that, it's not dead anywhere.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, you have a Planeswalker I need to kill? I got you. You just need the beats, I got you there too. Right? Like your opponent like plays a Wren and you're just like 2 mana kill your Wren.
Yeah.
Like, they got a token, so that sucked, but like you at least took care of their 5-drop with a 2-drop.
They might not have got a token if you flashed in your Overcharged Amalgam.
Woo! Woo-hoo! We did it. We did it.
Yep.
Next up.
Well,
Hey,
hang on real quick before you go to the next one. I like the art on this guy too.
it's kind of like a weird zombie samurai.
Yeah, it's like samurai armor made from bones.
Yeah, with like just a bunch of, I guess, swords sticking out of his back.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, it is cool art.
Yeah.
Good job, Dave Kendall.
Yep. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks. Good work, buddy. All right, now next up,
Mhm.
um, another 3 mana zombie payoff card.
Yeah.
So we've
A little
got
fragile.
yeah, Headless Rider.
Yep.
2 and black for a zombie. It's a 3/1. Whenever it or another zombie you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Hey, if you're gonna rally and sack a bunch of stuff, may I introduce you to the guy you want on the battlefield?
That's right.
Right? Like it just doubles up everything you get to sacrifice.
Yep. That guy from earlier didn't say non-token, right? The Archghoul. You know, he doesn't care if it's a token or not.
Yeah, so you just get to go nuts.
Yep.
So this is like Xanthid Necromancer.
But on tribe.
On tribe, exactly. So all of your triggers. So was it Wayward Servant? That
Mhm.
when a zombie comes into play, right? Like if you get like that and like a corpse, is it Corpse Knight?
Yeah, Corpse Knight.
Right? And you're just like, cool, like drain you for a bunch, start sacking stuff, get zombies, drain you again, kill you.
Yeah.
Right. So you just have those way to kill people.
Yeah, I don't think we don't have a great sack outlet though, right?
We don't have what's his name? Your boy.
Then Tuco Husk.
Tuco Husk. And the only other like reasonably recent like free sack outlet is Cartel Aristocrat.
We have Wolf Rider.
Yeah, I guess on 3. That's fair.
But it's off tribe.
Yeah, I was thinking of like 2 mana things, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have Nantuko Husk and Woe Strider. But like, is it Return to the Ranks? Is the Convoke spell they gave us white X?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but isn't that like CMC 2 or less, or is it 3 or less?
I don't remember.
Like, it has a weird restriction.
Yeah. Well, I thought the restriction was mana.
It might, but it has Convoke too.
Yeah.
But you don't like, we only have the one mass reanimation effect.
Yeah.
Which makes things a little bit harder.
Return to the ranks is 2 or less.
2 or less. Okay.
3 drops don't work so great.
They do not.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we have my boy.
Your boy.
Undead Butler. So, longtime listeners of the show will remember that we have a pet deck.
Mm-hmm.
This pet deck is Storm Heralding people. And the deck needs preferably creatures that mill so that you can put pants on them.
Mm-hmm.
And ways to get back your Storm Herald if you mill it, either by reanimating it or getting it back in your hand. Undead Butler gives us both mill, a thing to put pants on, and a way to get back our Storm Herald. So this is 1 in the black for a zombie. It's a 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. So
Perfect.
In this spot before, we often had Mire Triton,
mm-hmm.
which only milled 2 cards. It gave you a little bit of life. It had Death Touch, only gave you 2 cards, right? So this gives you 1 extra card in your yard. Good times. And then when it dies, you can exile Undead Butler. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So if you have milled your Storm Herald, you have a way to get it back.
Mm-hmm. And if
Right.
not, you have a way to get back your Stitcher supplier or whatever to keep going.
Yeah. So like this guy, you undead butler and then you demonic embrace, right? Well, now you've got a 4/3 flyer, right? So they've got to kill it.
Mhm.
And if you have a Stormcaller in your graveyard or Storm Herald in your graveyard, you're gonna get that back. So
Yep.
you like put them in a bind where it's like, well, you can't just get bashed for 4 over and over, but you also can't kill this thing because you're gonna take like 22.
Yeah.
So what do? Your move. So like for our pet, the unofficial historic deck from 6 months ago of the Casual Tryhard podcast, this guy goes right in.
Oh yeah.
Also, the unofficial pioneer deck of some sort of zombie rally deck. This guy also fits in nicely.
Yeah, that deck's getting full.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. It gets to only be 2 colors because you don't need Satyr Wayfighter anymore.
Right.
Right? Because like, hey, Undead Butler, Meyer, Triton, you do all the things. Great. All right. So yeah. So if you want to mill some fools and try to throw a bunch of pants on one guy all at once, here's the way to get there. So next up, we're to red cards now.
Yeah. We have a red card that starts with an A, so we're going to talk about it first.
Would you like to read this one? It hurts me.
Yeah. It's Alchemist Gambit. 1 red for a sorcery. Take an extra turn after this one. During that turn, damage can't be prevented. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game. Exile Alchemist Gambit. Cleave 4 red. And it gets rid of the lose the turn clause.
Or lose
Lose the game clause.
So, in a format that is already dominated by a 7 mana take an extra turn spell.
Yeah.
Our glorious overlords at WotC were like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Let's make another one.
Yep.
And it's like, why? No one wants this.
Somebody wanted it.
Someone.
Yeah.
So it feels like when I first saw it, I put in Discord, I was like, welcome to like 8 Epiphany standard. It's probably 6 Epiphany.
Yeah.
Like 4 Epiphanies and like 2 of this, just to give you like maybe even only 5, but just to give you that like extra like touch of consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And also like a lot of times those games came down to like you're tapped out and like slowly dying. And they're like, okay, I can like make 4 birds and take 2 turns, but I can't quite do the last bit of damage. Or I need to like play a Goldspan Dragon and get an extra whack in to kill you. Like this lets you Goldspan and then take an extra turn.
Right.
Like you get to like 6 lands on the battlefield. You can like Epiphany, get 2 birds, Goldspan, attack for 3, attack for 6, then just play this for the 3 mana mode,
right,
and get 6.
Finish them off.
Yeah, and God forbid people like get all kinds of crazy and are like, you know what we're gonna do here? Play the Overcharged Amalgam, sack a bird, eat the lose the game trigger.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I mean, it's the same amount of mana though. Wouldn't you just like?
Well, if you went like if you got the 6 lands and you went like dragon, get a treasure, that gets you a dragon attack plus 3 mana.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can gambit.
Oh, I gotcha.
Immediately after.
Yeah.
And then you could, attack for 6 again. You've dealt 12 damage. Your opponent hasn't been able to interact with you. Yeah. And then like flash in Overcharged Amalgam, eat the trigger.
Yeah.
Right. So, but like
go ahead.
Because if you had 2 epiphanies, like Epiphany, then dragon this, and they're dead too.
Yeah.
You're
Doesn't this also give us 8 of this card in historic to play alongside getting into the trials?
12, right?
Are we up to 12?
I think there's the red white one that
Yeah.
you get indestructible. Then there's like, is it the one from Hour of Devastation where the guy's getting kicked into the pit?
Oh yeah.
And then this. So there are like 12 of these. So like, you know, red white like stifle extra turns.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like Tail's End.
Yeah.
Like Jeskai, Gideon, Tail's End. What's his name? Zan Syed just like Seth just made this deck, and then Seth Manfield tweeted it out, like that same exact kind of thing with like
Oh, okay.
big Teferi, little Teferi, and then like Tail's End and Gideon. So yeah, like we have 12 of this effect now. So like if Gideon as don't lose the game for like 3 mana extra turns is good, then I mean also right, like once you get the Gideon down, like then you can Villamachus and just like keep chaining turns, 3 mana turns together.
It's true.
So yeah, I mean there might be something there. We also have Platinum Angel. Like
We do.
Big. It's really big.
Yeah. It's 7 mana, right?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm not thrilled about this because it just feels like everyone was sick of playing against extra turn spells.
Yeah.
And then because like hasn't Epiphany been like the best thing to do for like
Since
almost yeah. Right. So almost a year, like some version of like you just don't get to take turns has been like floating around as one of the top like 3 or 4 decks in the format.
Yep.
Like that gets a little old after a while.
I'm sick of it.
Yeah, I mean, and people point out like the problem is that the only way you can interact with Epiphany is to play blue cards, which then means you should also be playing Epiphany.
Yeah.
So the answer makes you play the problem.
Right.
All right. Next up. Hey, we talked about this guy.
Yeah.
So you want to do this one?
No, I'm gonna let you do this one because I think you're higher on it than I am.
Okay, Ancestral Anger. So red for a sorcery. Target creature gains trample and gets +X/+O until end of turn, where X is 1 plus the number of cards named Ancestral Anger in your graveyard. And then the important part is draw a card. So, like,
is this just like a storm, like Spellslinger card, or like where are you using this?
Like all of these like crash through type cards, like crash through, and then what's the other one? There's like 2 of them that are like you don't require a creature, you just cast it. Right? They all find a home. Right? Like mono red Burgee like just needs like red draw a card.
Yeah.
Right. And so this fills that role. And if you are some sort of like Kiln Fiend deck, okay, like just like Kiln Fiend and what is it, Festival Crasher.
Yeah.
And you're just like, all right, boom, 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 go. Like draw a bunch of cards. So I think it's just more of like a mono red like storm kind of thing where you're like
I gotcha.
Yeah,
I didn't know if there was like a specific home where you were like, oh yeah, this is gonna like make this archetype or whatever.
I mean, we're getting close to like the mythical like green red infect. Like this card's getting there.
Yeah.
Right. It's not gonna take too long for them to print like 1 mana +2/+0 trample first strike red. And then you're gonna be like, oh, now we've got it. Like now you can't even block my Glistener Elf.
Yeah. Refresh my memory. Are the like crash throughs and whatever, are they also sorceries or are they instants?
So there's the one that gives trample, and the one that gives first strike, they're both sorceries.
Okay. I didn't know if sorcery was a downside or not compared to what else is out there.
All sorceries. Like I think they're sorceries, so they're just not like red instant speed cantrips.
Yeah.
Right. So they're not just like bad opt or whatever. What is it? Peak or whatever.
Yeah.
They're not just like a bad version of peak or opt. So yeah, I think the sorcery is just to like differentiate them from the what's it called? From the blue versions.
Okay.
All right. Except so you can do this one. This will be
All right.
your
This is Cemetery Gatekeeper. There's a whole cycle of these. We're going to talk about this one in particular. I think it's probably the best one out of all of them. And then we're going to take a break from red and talk about the rest of them. And then we'll go back to red. So Cemetery Gatekeeper is 1 and a red for a 2/1 vampire with first strike. When Cemetery Gatekeeper enters the battlefield, exile a card from a graveyard. Whenever a player plays a land or casts a spell, if it shares a card type with the exiled card, Cemetery Gatekeeper deals 2 damage to that player. So this is kind of like the adversary cycle from the last set. It actually feels very similar, right? Wasn't one of the criticisms we had of the adversary cycle was that they probably could have just been rares?
So I think we talked about it, but Morrow. So after the double-sided card sets, those all had like 5 extra mythics because they had the double-sided cards. And then they announced that, hey, going forward, we're going to have 5 extra mythics.
Mm-hmm.
So for both the adversary cycle and the gatekeeper cycle, it felt like the card file was done.
Yeah.
And they were like, whoever, Bob the Bean Counter at Hasbro was like, we need 5 more mythics because people spend, this many more gems on Arena when there are more mythics.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, well, we can't rebuild the file. We'll take this cycle and we'll make it mythic. And this feels very similar.
Yeah.
So
like this one in particular, though, I think is good. I think it's better than the rest of them. First strike is relevant, especially when you push back into older formats.
Yeah.
And this is kind of red's way of taxing. Like white gets, you pay extra mana. Red gets, well, if you do the thing, I'm just going to hit you. So this fills kind of a similar role to like Harsh Mentor or Eidolon of the Great Revel, where you just make everything your opponent do hurt.
Yes.
So
I
think this card's pretty good.
I mean, it is the cheapest in terms of mana cost of the bunch, which is helpful. And
from the gatekeepers, you mean?
From the gatekeepers, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was a Magic AIDS video where he replaced Eidolon with this. Like there's an argument that like you could play this and Eidolon.
Yeah.
I don't know, like if you're then cutting too much burn from the deck, but you can do something like that where you're able to kind of punish them like 2 ways, like have 2 of that effect in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
So the rest, I forget who on Discord asked for us to talk about the rest of the gatekeepers as a cycle. This quote unquote cycle is just a cycle that basically involves cards that have the same word in the name, and then nothing else about them is cohesive. It's great.
Well, no, they all exile a card and then do something with that card.
Fair, but like I don't know, just like, hey, Cemetery Protector, 2 white, flash 3/4. It's like, okay, that's not like the 1 blue flying 2/3.
Right.
It just feels weird in that regard. So Cemetery Protector already read the casting cost 3/4 with flash. Enters the battlefield and exiles a card. And then whenever you play a land or cast a spell that shares a type with the exiled card, create a 1/1 human.
Mm-hmm.
Cemetery Illuminator. Again, 1 blue flying 2/3 spirit. And when it enters or attacks, I don't know why the white one doesn't get the attack trigger, but when it
I
enters,
think, well, the red one didn't get an attack trigger either.
yeah, like it just seems like random.
Yeah.
Exile a card from a graveyard, and then it lets you look at the top card of your library, and once each turn you can cast the spell from the top of your library that shares a type with the card exile with a card exile with Cemetery Illuminator.
Mhm.
So, right, let's say you're playing spirits and you tag a creature, right? And then you could if you had a rattle chains,
Yeah.
right, you can play a creature on your turn, and then if the top card of your library is a creature again, you can flash one in on their turn.
Yep.
Right.
And then we have Cemetery Desecrator, 4 black for a 4/4 zombie with menace. And when Cemetery Desecrator enters a battlefield or dies, so this one's not on attack, it's when it dies, exile another card from a graveyard. And when you do, choose one. Either remove X counters from a permanent, where X is the mana value of the exiled card, or target creature an opponent controls gets -X till end of turn, where X is the mana value of the exiled card. So it's kind of, what was a black Gear Hulk?
Noxious Gear Hulk.
Noxious. It's kind of a Noxious Gear Hulk,
Mhm.
but it can tag 2 things instead of one on the way in, one on the way out.
Well, it only on the way in. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I guess. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's all one thing. Okay, the exile, whatever card you exile, then does okay.
Yeah.
I was like no, you had 2 cards in exile. If it's like when it dies, how do you pick which one? But it's the one it exiles in that instance.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. When you do, choose one.
Okay. Yeah. I read that wrong. And then the last guy, what do you got for?
It's a Cemetery Prowler, 1 green 3/4 with vigilance. And when it enters the battlefield or attacks, exile a card from a graveyard. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card type they share with cards exiled with Cemetery Prowler.
So this one,
That's odded, worded, odded. Yeah, that's odded. It's worded odd because it says for each card type. So if you exile an artifact creature,
so then you get
your artifact creatures would cost 2 less. Strange.
Which is dangerous.
Yeah.
What was that? So after they got rid of Cart Clan Ironworks, for that bad imprint card that you would just
yeah, what was that?
I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
Right. This is kind of that. Right? Because you could sacrifice a Mishra's Bauble, play this, exile the Bauble. Now all your 1-mana artifacts cost 0.
Yeah.
Right. Now you can't get 2-mana artifacts to 0 unless they're artifact creatures.
Right.
But still, a bunch of 0 cost 2-mana artifact creatures is nothing to scoff at. So this could be with artifacts, could be interesting, could do something powerful. But just in a regular dumb green deck, right? The next one of these you play, if you get a creature, it costs 2.
Right.
So I don't know. I just don't like the fact that 2 of them do a thing on attack for some reason.
Yeah. 2 of them are just ETB and then one's dies.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they go together.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're all also relevant creature types for whatever color they're in.
They are, but you could have made Cemetery Desecrator, a 3-mana. They could have all been 3 mana.
Yeah.
Right, and had that cohesion, and they could all had the enters or attacks trigger. Right, it wouldn't have been the end of the world if Cemetery Protector could get multiple types. So like anytime you did the thing, because right, Cemetery Protector only pays you off when
Right.
you only pays you off when you cast a spell. The red one hits both players.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. It just feels like they're like
A little disjointed.
Yeah, it feels like a very loose cycle. But no,
Yeah.
I think that like Cemetery Illuminator is like fine, right? As like blue graveyard hate.
Yeah.
Right. You know, the green one is like, remember Deathgorge Scavenger?
Mhm.
Like we were like, oh, that card will be good. Like saw very little play. Saw a little bit. I wouldn't say zero, but didn't see a ton.
It's all play.
Not a ton though.
I don't know. I played a bunch of it.
Okay.
I played it in my my Golgari decks from that standard that we liked so much.
We keep going back 3 years before the start of the podcast.
Yeah.
Remember when you could play a 5-drop?
I do.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Remember when that 5-drop didn't do anything when it entered the battlefield?
Yeah. And I was angry because I was like, this is not a standard playable card. Was the only thing you could play.
Yeah. It saw play because it was the best 5-mana card.
Yes.
I
So
just needed something to do on turn 5, so I played this.
yes, that's basically it. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I think they're all fine, but they're also like the same kind of thing. They don't feel like they're mythics.
Yep.
They don't feel like they go together, and they don't feel like they should be this rarity.
Yeah.
Like we had a common last set that was for 5 mana, made 2/2/2s, and exiled 2 cards from a graveyard, and was a 3/4.
Yeah.
Like that feels more mythical. Like if those zombies were real zombies, as opposed to decayed zombies, like does that make it a mythic? Like it feels pretty close to these.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we take a mana off of it. Let's be real. They make it 2 black, and then all right. Hey, this guy.
Hey, this guy.
This one's me. This is your reminder that we have a strictly better Blazing Volley.
Yeah.
So this is End the Festivities. It's red for a sorcery. End the Festivities deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. So Blazing Volley's been seeing play in Legacy for a while, right? It just picks off 1 toughness creatures, but doesn't deal damage to an opponent or planeswalkers.
Mm-hmm.
So this just has a little bit more, does the same thing, but more.
Is Blazing Volley an instant?
It's a sorcery.
It's a sorcery. Okay.
Yeah. So like your opponent like down ticks their Teferi, right? And you're like, cool, I'll pick off your young Pyromancer and your Teferi.
Right.
Or whatever, if those cards get played together anymore. Right,
Ragavan or
Silver
or whatever.
Monkey in your what's it called? Your stupid Dragon Race Chandler.
Yep. Brazen Borrower.
Yeah, so any number of things. So this just is that, like, you know, much like I was like, oh hey, like, you know, Naturalize is no longer playable when we have like the one that also exiles a card from a graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Like, so this is just the hey, this is better than that other card now.
Yep. This is a good way to kill off Athalia.
Yeah, I should have moved all of my copies when they were a nickel. Now, now nothing.
Never have the chance.
Never have the chance. Now it's done. All right, next up.
This is a Kessig Flame Breather. 1 in the red for a 1/3 human shaman. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Kessig Flame Breather deals 1 damage to each opponent. So this is like Thermo Alchemist. It's just another Thermo Alchemist. It's a little bit better than Thermo Alchemist because like this can attack and it has a power. And it triggers on all non-creature spells, not just instants or sorceries.
Yeah. I mean, the upside of Thermo Alchemist is like when you didn't have a spell, it still got to deal 1.
Correct. Well, this can attack.
It just gets to attack, yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, my pay a red, do a meaningless thing, draw a card.
There you go.
Likes things like this.
Yeah. You said we got 12 of that card now? Or Yeah,
12?
12 of that card.
12 or 16. Because there's another one that targets. There's the one that gives first strike, the one that gives trample that are just sorceries.
Yeah.
And then I thought there was one that targeted that gave a target creature trample, draw a card.
Like, how close is Historic to having a like Runaway Steamkin, Burgee, it's a first day of class Chatterstorm deck?
I don't think Chatterstorm is in Historic.
I thought it was in the digital only Jumpstart.
Maybe. But we have Grape Shot.
Oh yeah, I guess you could just kill that way too.
That card, I've seen that deck. That deck, I know Saffron Olive played it like 6 months ago.
Mhm.
Like we have just more of that now where Memekin is what it gets called.
Okay.
Where you just like you just Steamkin and then you just start drawing, like you just start playing all these like red cantrips. Or you like Burgee, and then like on turn 4, you just can cast a ton of cards.
Yeah.
And then Grape Shot. So yeah, like that deck definitely exists. So, but yeah, like your whole deck could almost like you could have 16, I think, just like pay a red, draw a card.
Yeah.
Which is all that deck wants to do.
It's a lot of storm count.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's what it's about.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we have a
Maniform Hellkite.
Yep, go ahead.
This
Let
is
it
a 2 red for a 4/4 dragon. Has flying, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX red dragon illusion creature token with flying and haste, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. Exile that token at the beginning of the next end step. When this card was spoiled, I heard a lot of people talking about it in the Epiphany decks. But I think this is just kind of win more in those decks, right? Like they don't.
Yeah, like why do you need this?
Yeah, I don't think you do.
Right.
And this card also like doesn't play well in the Izzet decks that are full of like counter spells because the creatures only hang out till the end of the turn.
Yeah.
So you're not going to like counter a spell and then like, crash in with your dragon because it won't be there.
Yeah, like I don't know like where this fits.
I mean, it would be like in a big red deck, I guess, but big red decks, well, it's non-creature spells, so this would trigger off of like, whatever planeswalker you were playing.
Yeah, there's the 3 mana Chandra, which we didn't even talk about.
Right.
And the really bad red one from AFR.
Yeah.
I think
that's true.
Like it feels like the other 4 mana 4/4 flying dragon at Mythic from the last set that like draws you cards.
Yeah.
Is probably better.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, I don't know.
Like it doesn't have haste. It doesn't do anything when it like enters like if you cast this on turn 4, that's it. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and like the whole format is built around dealing 4 damage to things.
Right.
Like there's like no way you untap with this thing.
Yeah.
If your opponent has built their deck in any semblance of a reasonable way.
Yeah.
And like I'd seen people like comparing it to Shark Typhoon. Like, oh my god, it's a better Shark Typhoon. It's like
no.
How?
It's not even close.
It's like it's worse if the Shark Typhoon is resolved, and it's way worse when you have 3 mana.
Right.
Like, no. Like, I don't know where this goes. I don't know what kind of deck wants this. It just seems like it's just like a block of text that is kind of nonsensical with like what the formats are.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure like maybe there's a commander thing for it or something, but I just don't see it in like 60 card construction formats. It doesn't make sense.
No.
All
No
right.
format that I can think of right now, at least.
Yeah. So now we have Reckless Impulse.
Yep. This is 1 and a red for a sorcery. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. So it's kind of
Light up the
Oh,
stage.
light up the stage. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. But 1 mana more.
It's 1 mana more, so it's stuck at 2 at all
Yeah,
times. Because light up the stage
yeah.
was 3, and then would go
But
down.
no, you never paid 3 for light up the stage.
I mean, there were some dark times, but for the most part, yeah. I mean it kind of does. What is it called? It's kind of expressive iteration,
Yeah,
right? Like, because expressive iteration is 2 mana, draw 2,
yeah,
right? And you have to burn 1 right now.
right.
This is 2 mana, draw 2, and you get to burn 1 now, and then you have 1 for next turn, right? So like, even if like you hit 2 lands, right? If you go
Mhm.
turn 3 Reckless Impulse and you hit 2 lands, okay,
Yeah, play 1 now and 1 next turn.
yeah, like you've just hit your next 2 land drops.
Yeah.
Right. And as long as like you've built your deck where you're not like full of like counter spells, right? Like it almost doesn't matter what you hit,
Right.
right? You play it like you're gonna effectively draw a card. Right. So you either like you need things that are like, proactive that you can just play and then have like low mana costs. So you're
Mhm.
like turn 3, if you hit like land in a 1-drop, you're like, okay, fine, land, play my 1-drop. There we go. I drew 2 cards. So yeah, like this seems very playable.
Is it playable in a format where we have Cathartic Pyre?
Cathartic Pyre.
From last set? 2 mana, do 3 to a
Yeah.
creature, or discard 2, draw 3?
There's discard 2, draw 2. You're down a card.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Like they kind of fit like the same slot, right? Like if you're building a red deck or a deck with red in it.
I mean, like Pyre is selection, where Impulse is just cards, right? So I think they do different things in terms of like Pyre, you're trying to get stuff in your graveyard, right? Discard for value, or just like try to get better cards than the ones you have in your hand, but you go down a card.
Right, but it's also like stapled to a removal spell, so you don't have to like have it in your deck.
Yeah, I mean, we skipped over a braid, which is just wild. But like I think
We talked about a braid last week.
yeah, but I think a braid and Cathartic Pyre are more similar to each other than this and Cathartic Pyre.
Okay.
Right. They're like both 3 mana or 2 mana, deal 3 to a creature
Mhm.
with then upside.
Yeah.
Right. So like, this is more, I think this compares, like I said, to expressive iteration.
Okay.
Right. Like, do you like, so this gives like a black red deck access to expressive iteration type effect.
Mhm.
So again, in our like, meme kin deck, right? Cool. Now I have a way to draw 2 cards to
Yeah.
hopefully keep drawing cards. So that's also another like use for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like the Cathartic Pyre comparison is interesting, where if you just like, I just need to see the top 2 cards of my deck. Right. Like I don't care. Like these cards I have don't matter. I just need the top 2 cards. Pyre's probably better.
Yeah.
But on turn 3, I think this is better. Right.
Yeah, I just meant like if you're from a deck construction purpose, like not from, comparing face value. If you're building a deck and you have like a certain number of slots for something, would you want the flexibility of Pyre, or would you want, 2 cards from this? And I don't know what the answer is, I guess.
Yeah, neither do I. But like it's interesting that they like at 2 mana right now, and like in back-to-back sets, we have like deal 3, discard
Mhm.
and draw. Deal 3, blow up an artifact.
Yeah.
And then like 2 mana, effectively draw 2.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a lot going on at the 2 mana slot
Mhm.
that are well different. Like they do overlap a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like I could definitely see like, if you're like, I don't think there are any 4 Abrade decks. I'm guessing there's like, I'll play like, if you like want to play Abrade, it might be like, I'll play like 2 Abrades and 2 Pyres, or like 3 and 1. But like, you just don't go like ham on the whole 4. But like,
So
this,
I just had kind of a wild thought if you want to go on a tangent for a quick second.
all right, hit me.
Um we had mentioned earlier when we were talking about zombies how like 2s and 3s are getting clogged up and how like you're running out of room for whatever deck you're trying to build. And then we just mentioned now about like the 2-drop slot getting clogged up. And we've talked about like fire design pushing the games faster in modern and like older formats and stuff, and like that comes through standard. I wonder if they're trying to speed the games up for arena.
Oh, maybe, right?
Like
Like,
I wonder if they're just trying to design games that don't last past like 7 or 8 turns anymore,
I mean, that
or
might,
make you want to concede after turn 7 or 8.
yeah, like, oh, they resolve their 7 mana thing. I guess I die.
Yeah.
Right? No, like that could definitely be it. Like, even they talk about on LR about the fact that like in modern limited sets, if you don't do something on turn 2, you're behind.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and think like there have definitely been limited formats where like I've just not drafted 2-drops.
Right.
Right? It just hasn't mattered. Right? And like all of these is like, if you don't have a 2, you're behind. Like the games are just faster.
Mhm.
And it's, I've made the joke before. What's the easiest thing to do to make a card more powerful? Cut a mana off of it.
Right.
Right. And so what that does is, like you said, like now instead of playing 2 mana, yeah, 2/2s, we're playing 1 mana 2/1s all the
Mhm.
time. Right. We've made 1 mana cards way better
Yeah.
than they've ever been before. So you're using your mana every turn and you're putting your opponent under pressure every turn. So then the games can't last a long time.
Mhm.
Right? Because you used to get like 2 turns off.
Right.
Like in limited. Now you don't. It's like, okay. Like they might go, your classic limited game of 1, 2, 3, 4th are dead.
Yeah.
Right. And like I think more and more we're getting pushed to that. And it might be like, hey, like we make 0 money when they play the draft games. We
Yeah.
make money when they get their 3 losses or their 7 wins. Let's make the games go faster.
Get them back into the draft queues.
Get them back into the queue, right? Like we don't make money after they buy the cards, right? But so we need them like to play more games so they get sick of their deck, so they want to buy more cards,
Yeah.
play more games. But yeah, I don't know. It could very well be because like they just like there's like this glut of things at like 3 mana now that like I don't feel like it was always like that where you're just like, wow, there are like 7 playable like zombie 3-drops.
Yeah.
Which one do I want? Like used to be like, yeah, there are like 2, maybe 3. Let me pick and choose or have a split. Now it's just like, I guess I can build 4 different types of zombies decks.
Yeah.
Which on one hand, I guess is good. Like, oh, I can play all these different types of zombie decks. But on the other hand, like what happens is like, okay, which one's the best? And these other ones just don't get played.
Yeah.
So,
It was an interesting thought that I
no,
just had like on the fly here. So
I mean,
maybe that's something we could talk about some other time. I don't want to clog up this whole episode with it, but
yeah, no, it's an interesting thought. Next up, $32.
So what does $32 get us?
It gets us a green mythic, Cultivator Colossus, 4 green for a plant beast. It has trample and it has power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control.
So it's probably at least a 6/6.
Probably. When it enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat this process.
Whew.
So basically, you get to put any, like you just can if you had this and the rest of your deck was lands, you would draw your entire deck before the trigger resolved. So this is very interesting, right? Like the trigger stays on the stack until you stop putting lands into play.
Right. It's all part of the same trigger.
Yes. So it's not like, like if you had a tireless tracker or something with landfall, those landfall triggers would build up, but not resolve until you got done putting lands into play.
Right.
So in the pre-show last week, we had mentioned like, oh, Abundance isn't on the reserve list. It's cheap. It's like 60 cents. They're all like $6 now.
Yeah.
Because you can, Abundance, you can, as a replacement effect, when you would draw a card, you can say land or non-land. So you can replace and then go just till you reveal a card that is a land.
Yeah, it's not a separate trigger. It's a replacement effect. So it interrupts like this trigger happening to change it.
Yeah, so it basically turns draw a card into take a land out of your deck.
Right.
Put it into your hand, and then Cultivator Colossus lets you put it in. So in Commander, if you Abundance and then this, you get to put every land in your deck onto the battlefield.
Oof.
Which
seems powerful.
Yeah. That's why this card is $32.
Yeah.
So like we're in this weird space and we're just going to come back to like Alchemist Gambit and Epiphany. Like, why am I going to do this at 7 mana when I can just not let my opponent take a turn and like have all my mana back?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to.
Yeah, so like this card doesn't feel like it just like lines up with the standard format.
Yeah.
So,
was Natural Order one of the banned cards in Historic, or one of the ones that didn't make it in?
It was, yeah.
Because this would be pretty neat to get with a Natural Order.
Yeah. I mean, it's not better than Hoof.
Well, I mean, it depends how many creatures you have in play, I guess.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, they go in different decks. They're doing different things.
Yeah.
But, or like to like cheat into play. Like it'd be small, but it ramps you and draws you a card. Right? Like, Unmarked Grave, persist this guy.
Yeah.
And then all the lands, you put all your lands into play, draw some cards. Like if you have like 2 or 3 lands in your hand, it's like almost a Grizzlebrand.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's
like
true.
it's gonna refill you and get you a bunch of it doesn't even matter if they kill it in response to the trigger.
Right.
You're still gonna draw cards and play lands until you run out of stuff. It's a neat card. Like, thankfully, remember Ulvenwald Hydra?
Yeah.
That didn't have trample. It had reach.
Right.
Like it was unplayable. It's like, cool, you have a 7/7 block with a 1/1. Right. Thanks. I'm glad I did all that work. Yeah, but this just feels way more powerful. But
Ulvenwald Hydra lets you get like a specific land, though. It's all a little bit of play.
It did.
As a land tutor.
Yeah, it was a land tutor. Like this is just like, you have to have lands.
Yeah.
So, but no, like, I don't know. This card seems like it could just be like a commander staple.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Commander people want to do.
Yep. This goes in your green binder right next to the mana tripling guy.
Oh yeah, Nick's Bloom Ancient.
Yeah.
Yes. With the exact same mana cost.
Yep.
All right. Glorious Sunrise. I had no idea what the art was, but there we go. I guess it's Teferi and
whoever that is. Is that Catilda?
Yeah, I thought it might be Catilda.
Might be.
So Glorious Sunrise. 3 green for an enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample to end of turn. Target target land gains. Tap, add green until end of turn. Draw a card if you control a creature with power 3 or greater. You gain 3 life. So, I put this on here because I know you said this wasn't the spec podcast.
Okay.
but I have no idea how much this costs. So if this costs like more than a quarter, don't do anything, right? But this to me feels like a commander card. So there is, oh gosh, there's a 3 mana green enchantment that draws you a card on your upkeep. If you have a power, I think 4 or greater.
From Core 21.
Yeah.
Garrick something or other. Yeah.
There's I forget. It's not Garrick something, or there's something else, or something very similar, right?
Okay.
This kind of feels like the same kind of thing, where and like that card was like $1 as like an uncommon, right? So like this, you get the card right away, right? Because you play it on your pre-combat main phase, and you get to draw your card right away, and it just lets you draw a card. So like I looked at it as like, oh, okay, so you get to keep your hand full, and then you get a baby overrun.
Yeah.
For when like it's clobbering time. And on some level, it costs 3 mana. Right? Because if you play it on 6, you play this, then your land that you have left over taps for 3. So you get like 3 mana back. So, or 4, however you do the math.
I mean, it also puts you like right at Ugin mana.
Yeah. So, like, I just felt like, we said that Commander drives the prices of things.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed like everything, like, I'm playing a bunch of green creatures in Commander once.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? It's like when you need it to be ramp, it ramps you. When you need it to like kill your opponent, it kills your opponent. When you need it to like draw you cards, it does that. And if for some reason you need life, it does that too. So it just kind of gives you all that flexibility.
Yeah.
Where like those other cards were 3 mana, but they did one thing. And you had to wait a whole turn cycle.
Yeah.
So, and then someone could Rexage you and then you'd be sad. But this, you at least get to play it before you get Rexaged.
Yeah, maybe.
That was all. That is my, like, if it's a quarter, maybe buy a couple, because it might not be a quarter.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I mean, who knows? It's a Splendid Reclamation.
Yeah.
Is reprinted in this set. It was in Eldritch Moon or Shadows over Innistrad or whatever. And that card was completely worthless while it was in standard, and now or before the reprint was $5 or $6.
Yeah. I had some because I was like, it's a combo card. No, there was no combo nations with it.
No.
Thing.
No.
All right. Next up, I'll let you hit Flute Boy here. Or
Flute Boy. This is a Howlpack Piper. 3 and a green for a 2/2 human werewolf. This spell can't be countered. 1 and a green and tap it. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. If it's a wolf or a werewolf, untap Howlpack Piper, activate only as a sorcery. And it's day bound. The backside is Wild Song Howler. It's a 4/4 werewolf. When this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Wild Song Howler, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So this is kind of Elvish Piper.
Yes.
On the front side. And if you're putting in wolves or werewolves, you get to do it multiple times a turn, which is kind of sweet. It lets you cheat in Green Gravy Train.
Yeah. And then untap. And do it again.
Untap. Do it again.
So something I don't like about the werewolves in this set, last set, if it had an ability on the front side of the card, it had the ability on the back side of the card. Right. So like you wouldn't get in the situation where like, oh man, I really wish I could like put my use my tap ability on my Howlpack Piper, but it's flipped over.
Yeah.
Right. Now we don't have that. Like none of the werewolves keep their abilities on the back.
Yeah, like at least these kind of feed each other though, because the backside will put something in your hand for when it flips back over.
Yeah. But like, it'd just be nice if like they kept that consistency. Like, hey, the one
Yeah.
set, the werewolves do the same thing on the front and the back, and then the very next set is like, nah, we're good. Now, in fairness, putting the paragraph from the front of Howpack Piper on the back of Howpack Piper would require you to have a magnifying glass to read the card.
Or no artwork.
Or no artwork. It has the paragraph, and then it just says ability 2, see front. But yeah, like, I don't know, like, Elvish Piper commander card, I don't know how much it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
But right, like,
is that on Arena now? Is Elvish Piper on Arena?
I have no idea.
Man, I'm not sure either.
Also, like, this lets you put the 7 mana nerd into play.
It does.
Lands into play. You don't untap your thing, but who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter at that point.
I am ahead on mana. All right. Next up. Hey, we got Mulch.
Yep.
So
Mulch is from original Innistrad or Dark Ascension or one of those sets.
Yeah, earlier than that.
Oh, maybe that's what I remember it from. Might be from somewhere else. It's 1 and a green for a sorcery. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So it can be kind of card advantage, but you're only getting lands. It can also kind of be mill if you're looking to just put stuff in your yard. This does kind of play well with Renin 7, where you can just put a bunch of lands in your hand and then dump them and play with Renin 7.
Mm-hmm.
It also plays well with the Cultivator Colossus from a couple cards ago.
Yeah.
I don't know that you're going to have 9 mana up and then still want to ramp, but
hey, you gotta live your best life.
Hey, sometimes. Yep.
Oh, so Mulch is originally from Stronghold.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's got the art is like the woman standing beside like the wheelbarrow with like a rake. I don't know. Like, I looked at the art and I was like, oh yeah, this is iconic. I remember this. Yeah, like this.
I only remember it from last time or the first time we were in Innistrad.
Yeah, but Mulch is just a good way to like fill your graveyard, hit land drops.
Yep.
Kind of wild, like you see Mulch and you're like, oh, Satyr Wadefinder is totally busted. Like, you just forget. You're like, oh yeah, that card's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's Mulch that gives me a body.
Right.
More or less. Like, great. But yeah, so if you're trying to like fill your yard, like, I don't know, if you want to like play 1 mana 3/3s, here's a way to get stuff in your yard.
Yep.
All right. Next up.
Now we have Retrieve. 2 and a green for a sorcery, and it's double regrowth. Return 1 creature card and 1 non-creature card or permanent from your graveyard to your hand, and then exile it.
So, like, usually the get 1 card version of this isn't good enough.
Right.
But maybe get 2 cards is good enough.
So when I look at this card, I compare it to the one that we have from Zendikar, which is this on the front side and a land on the back side.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I would rather have that almost every time.
Yes. It's just because it hits a land drop. Yeah. And the fact that it's creature and non-creature permanent.
Right.
Like, the creature should be usually pretty easy to get. But like, what are the non-creature permanents you're putting in your graveyard that you're gonna like want to get back? Like, is there an artifact you're trying to sacrifice? Is there an enchantment that's gonna get blown up? Is someone gonna kill your planeswalker?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't. Like, it's not clear like what target non-creature permanent you're gonna have in your graveyard to get.
Yeah.
It's like a land. But
yeah, that's true. You can get a land.
things have gone wrong if you're like getting back in Evolving Wilds.
Right.
So yeah, these usually aren't good enough, unfortunately.
I don't think so. Like I said, if I'm in standard right now and I want some sort of this effect in my deck, I'm gonna play the one from Return to Zendikar, or Zendikar Rising, or whatever.
Yeah. Return to Zendikar.
Return to Zendikar.
Yeah. This one's mine.
Yeah, I don't know why you put this guy here. So
Okay.
Ryan,
So
take the wheel.
Blood Servitor. 3 mana. Artifact creature construct. It's a 2/2.
The art's pretty sick.
Yard is pretty sick. When Blood Servitor enters the battlefield, create a blood token. He's just 2 artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the Brothers' War.
I forgot that's coming up.
They're gonna be all about artifacts, and we've seen in Modern and that like just decks that like put pieces of cardboard, let them be real or tokeny cardboard onto the battlefield, just matter.
Okay.
Right? Like, if Urza ever got reasonable again, this is just 2 blue mana for your Urza.
Yeah.
Right. So like I just looked at it more as this card in and of itself is not powerful. I'm under no illusions.
Yeah.
But if making 2 artifacts matters, right? Or if for some reason like the affinity deck would want something like this, we're like, I just need 2 artifacts. I just need to always make 2 artifacts.
Yeah.
Now, are there probably better ways like Servo Expedition or Exhibition? I always call it Exhibition, right? Where it makes 1 and a white make 2 1/1 construct servos. Yeah, probably better. But in standard, this might be the best way to make 2 artifacts.
Yeah.
So that was my
be.
only thought, was just like putting pieces of cardboard on the battlefield that are artifacts.
All right. Yeah, I wasn't sure why you had this here. I was a little surprised.
Yeah, I was pushing further. Like, not that you have to go quarter the market on this like god awful common.
Yeah.
But
no, it makes sense. Could be a role player.
Yeah. Right. Like there could be like, a Gear Seeker Serpent that's like standard playable, but you're just like, I need to take 2 mana off of this thing so I can cast it on turn 4. And like this does that for you. All right. This card is weird.
This card is super weird.
All right.
We got a Dollhouse of Horrors. It's a 5 mana artifact. You can pay 1 and tap it to exile a creature card from your graveyard. And you create a token that's a copy of the exiled card, except that it's a construct. And it gains haste till end of turn.
It's not a construct because it doesn't count artifacts. It counts constructs.
Oh, well, that's weird.
It doesn't, they did it so it doesn't count the dollhouse.
Okay.
And so like you couldn't make like 6 blood tokens.
Oh, that makes sense.
And just like boom, here's a 7/7 or whatever, right?
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
It's always like, unless you have other constructs, it's always going to start out as kind of like a 1/1. So like you could like pair this with creatures that have enter the battlefield abilities. Right. So again, we go back to our like giant green guy that like lets us play lands. But by the time you're doing this, giant green guy is just like reasonable.
Right.
Like you could just cast him.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know like what you're doing to like
Cemetery Desecrator.
Yeah.
That'd be a good thing for this to tag.
Yeah, because then it would like die on the way out and kill something.
Yeah.
But like it's 6 mana. Like you could just cast Cemetery Desecrator. Right, as opposed to going through the work to put it in the graveyard. So like I wanted to do cool things. Like, I don't know. Like I wanted to like put an Ulamog into play and then let me like mill your library.
My 1/1 Ulamog milling you for 20.
Yeah. Get in there, buddy. Whee! And just eat.
I mean, it gains haste.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just whee, get in there.
Yep.
Right? Like, but like it has to be like so big. Right?
The
So,
dollhouse?
no, the like thing you're getting back because of like how expensive like the first crack with the dollhouse is.
Oh, yeah.
Right? For you, like getting something back that costs 6 mana, just play it. Right? Like it's got to be 7, 8, 9, 10 mana to like make the 6 mana that you put into the dollhouse worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's awkward. Like I don't think it could be cheaper, just because like then it's just too good.
Yeah.
But I also think it's so expensive. Like I don't know how it works. Like though I will say, I think you lose 0 of the games you resolve this in limited.
Oh, yeah.
You're just like, oh, you killed some stuff, get it back. Go get another one back. Like this is the game now. Can you kill this guy? Because if not, we're gonna have a bunch of these.
So this card is why a braid exists in this format?
I think a braid is here not for Dollhouse.
For Brothers War.
I was gonna say Zeke's Chariot.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Right? Like I was going through my head.
You think they were smart enough to know that Asika's Chariot was going to be a problem?
I mean, aren't they developing the sets like 6 months out?
I think they're like a year out.
Are they still that far out? I thought they got like significantly closer.
Oh, maybe.
But like, I don't know, like I could maybe see if it's a year, then no. But like maybe they, maybe it is for Brothers War. Maybe they're like, oh man, we're gonna like print some ridiculous artifacts.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe we're gonna get a Jite reprint in Kamigawa.
They're gonna do some like knockoff like Umezawa's lightsaber or something that's gonna just be like it's gonna have like 3 modes, but like none of them are gonna be good.
Yeah.
Kind of like, what was it, like Umezawa's charm or whatever it was from the first Modern Horizons?
Yeah, it was just the 3 modes.
Just the 3 modes is like an instant, and it's like, yeah, no, we don't want this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want, like, this card is cool. I just don't know what to do with it.
What about was it Drecuseth? Where it comes in and you like 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that would be good.
Yeah.
That, like, the fact that it has haste is a big deal. You don't care that it's a 1/1.
Right.
It's bash. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, something with like an attack trigger that's like naturally evasive.
Mm-hmm.
But she said it's 5. Like it was 4, and like the first activation was like Zombicide, or not Zombicide, Zombify.
Yeah.
Like that would be better. But the fact that it's like Zombify, but 1 mana more and your thing's rinky dink, like doesn't work. All right. Ooh. What's this one?
We have Iruth, Tormented Prophet. 1 blue-red for a 2/4 human wizard. If you would draw a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Instead, you may play those cards this turn. So it kind of doubles your draws.
Yeah.
But you got to use them right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like this into like, or like Steamkin into this into like untap with like one of the like draw spells, you probably draw your whole deck.
Yeah. Like if you're gonna play it in that deck though, like I don't know that you're gonna have, you want to be close to mono red in that deck. I don't know that you're gonna have access to blue mana.
I don't know. Like maybe again, like maybe this card is just like, keep saying this, but I feel like there's more and more cards that like are in this vein. Maybe this is just like the commander, like, hey, we don't have a commander that does this.
Yeah.
And now I say that, and there's definitely a card that we missed that we were like in our heads, we're like, this is just a commander card. And then in 3 months, when we talk about how they keep printing commander cards that break formats, Epiphany. Sorry. I had to
Oh,
think.
yeah.
But yeah, like this is a card that's like up to no good. Like you don't do this ability unless you're trying to like cast your entire deck.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, it makes it kind of trivial to get back like Phoenixes or something, right?
Yeah, because you're just gonna see so many cards, you're gonna cast all your spells.
Yeah.
I think someone in like our chat described it as kind of like maybe it wasn't this card, as like Song of Creation.
Yeah.
Right? Like if your deck is just all like draw a card, right? You just have to have a way to like get the mana back, but you can get through your whole deck pretty easily.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Or if all you're casting are zeros.
Yeah, but like what like we don't have like Mishra's Bauble draws on your opponent's turn.
No. With Song.
Oh yeah, with Song is zeros.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think you want this and Song. Like, dear God, you just like at that point, you're like, yeah, you exile like 8 cards. Like
Yeah.
you're just through your deck.
Yeah.
Like, can I do this? Yes, I'll just exile 8. And I will find 6 things to cast here. Yeah, like this seems like it's again one of those cards that it's just like keep printing these blue red like rare legends that like don't feel like they have a home in any like in constructed or limited.
Yeah. They're just strange.
Yeah, they're just strange, which like, makes me think Commander.
Yeah. Could very well be.
Like I would like this to be good, please. Like this just seems like a neat card and like the art's super cool.
Yeah.
See, this is why you need to watch the show. Be up to date with our art comments here.
That's right.
All right. All right.
What do we got here?
We got Kaya Geist Hunter, 1 white black for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. So another 3 mana Kaya. Right. So +1 creatures you control gain death touch until end of turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature token you control. Awkward that it only puts them on tokens.
Well, I mean, the whole card like wants you to play tokens.
Mhm.
It's just a token planeswalker.
Yes. -2 until the end of turn. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many tokens are created instead.
Whew.
Like I was like, oh, if you're like doing like the reason I put this on here is if you're doing anointed procession shenanigans.
Yeah.
This is a one-off anointed procession.
Well, I think you could like in standard, you could totally play an Abzan tokens deck.
Oh yeah.
Where you just Kaya into Chariot, make 4 2/2s, or Kaya tick up, tick up, and then on turn 5, Ren and 7 tick up, make 2 trees, crew Chariot, make 2 more trees.
Oh Lord. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree.
Like, I mean, that just ends a game.
Yes. I'll put 20 power on the board.
Yeah.
And then sure. The -6 is a thing that is text.
Yeah. And actually you could tick up the turn Kaya comes down. And then you could tick down twice. You tick down, make 4 2/2s, and then tick down and make 4 5/5s.
Yeah, and then just like win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like this card to me is really just about the -2.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. And like figuring out some way to like you should like maximize it. Like how can I get the most out of this -2?
Yeah.
And it might be that it's +1, and then I have 2 anointed processions on turn 4 and 5, and make the most out of those 2 anointed processions.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was why I looked at this card. I was like, oh, Anointed Possession is really good.
Yeah.
And,
No,
like,
I thought this card was sweet.
yeah, part of Anointed Possession is fine.
Yep.
And then I don't know if I read the -6, which is exile all cards from all graveyards, then create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying for each card exiled this way.
Ooh, that's a lot of spirits. It could be a
But
lot of spirits.
it unfortunately does not play well with the other 3-mana Kaya, which is eating your opponent's graveyard.
Right.
So like you don't get as many spirits from the -6. Not
Yeah.
that matters, but it's just funny that like
This is also white and black.
it is.
So you could play it with all the zombie token makers.
Yeah. Or if you don't want to go into 3 colors, can I interest you in a Lolth?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's good too.
Like plus, like, kill a creature on 2, play Kaya plus it, kill a creature on 4,
Mhm.
and then what's it called? Minus on your Lolth. Play Lolth minus, make 4 spiders.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't say creature tokens. So like, what if you Kaya and then on turn 4 you minus and then you play like deadly dispute and sacrifice a shambling ghoul and
Ooh, make 4 treasures.
Mhm. Then you play your
Yeah.
Lolth
Yeah.
on the same turn, and then you make 4 spiders.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
So, like, maybe Ren is the more powerful option because making giant trees is good, but like you could stay in black
Mhm.
and just have the like the ability to like Lolth, and then like you blood on the snow, bring back your Kaya.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, no, there's definitely something here.
I dig it. I think the card's powerful.
Yeah. Sorry, Chandra, we just skipped over you. All right, how about this guy?
We got Torren's Fist of the Angels, 1 green white for a 2/2 human cleric with training. And whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 green and white human creature token with training. I guess it just like makes an army that kind of gets big.
I mean, it's a 3-drop, so it kind of makes this play pattern hard.
Yeah.
Like each soldier that you make, in theory, makes the next one bigger.
Yeah. They chain.
Yeah, they chain together because like if you get to attack, you make the one bigger, and then the one you make for your next creature gets bigger. Yeah, like I think it's interesting, but like we've gotten this effect at 2 mana a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Remember, oh gosh. Like the weird Esper deck that had the like 2 mana when you play a multicolored spell, make a 1/1.
Yeah.
And then there was the
Hero Precinct one.
yes.
Yep.
And wasn't there a knight that when you played a knight, you got a 1/1?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't see any play though.
Yeah, but like those were at 2 mana.
Yeah.
Right? Like slapping training on this, makes it better.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if it's like that much better than just
I don't think it. I think you hit the nail right on the head when you said that this effect has been at 2 mana in the past. I don't think that 3 mana is worth it. It doesn't. Think about what else you could be doing for 3 mana, and I think this is like nowhere near as powerful.
Yeah, I mean, in white, like I'd almost rather like Skyclave Apparition something.
Yeah, or PV,
or even our whatever was it, Welcoming Vampire, or like whatever. Like I'd rather do like any of those for 3 mana than this.
Yeah.
Also,
I agree.
remember the now defunct format Tiny Leaders and how like we were all scraping the barrel for like garbage 3 mana legends.
Yep.
Right. They just are like, yo, you want a 3-mana legend that like supports some sort of weird deck here? You want a 3-mana? There's like tiny leaders can come back now. We have so many 3-mana
Oh,
cards.
don't say that. We're gonna get tiny leaders on Arena now.
Yeah,
They're gonna give us 60 card tiny leaders.
we could give you a Pioneer, but instead, Tiny Commander. Let's go.
That's right.
Come on. All right, except
I think this is the last card.
I had not looked at this art, and it's giant and disturbing.
It's a brain with wings and tentacles.
Yeah, it's like a brain squid thing.
Yep, it's a horror.
It is. the creature type is accurate because those tentacles have like teeth on them.
Yeah. This is a Wandering Mind. 1 blue-red for a 2/1 with flying. And when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them. Put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So it's we had this card not that long ago, right? 2/1 flyer draws a card.
Oh, God.
Cloudkin Seer.
Yes, for 2 and a blue.
Yep. This is kind of Cloudkin Seer, but it only gets you non-creature, non-land cards, but you get to pick the best of your top 6.
Yeah, it's kind of super Augur of Bolus.
Yeah, you're probably not going to miss on 6 cards, though.
Probably not. It is probably not.
And it flies.
Yeah, it's probably not 2/1. Put the top 6 cards of your library on the bottom of your deck.
Yeah.
But no, like that's kind of what it's similar to.
Mhm.
I don't know, like if you are like looking for a particular, I don't know, 7-mana sorcery.
One that maybe might take you for an extra turn.
Yeah, maybe. Or a 3-mana sorcery that could do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right, like this like feels like it could go into a deck like that where, you know, it's a speed bump against aggressive decks.
Mhm.
Right. On some level, it's kind of fading hope. You're just like, block. Cool. I guess I get to save myself 4 damage this turn.
Yeah.
All right. I'm 1 turn closer to doing my big thing. Right. And it like got you, and it found you the big thing you're trying to do.
Or it found you, what was that card from last set? That's like 4 mana dig and then flashback dig.
Oh, arcane something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like red, blue, like it was the top 4.
No, mono blue. It's like 2 blue.
Oh, the memory one.
Yeah. Memory Deluge. Is that what it is?
Yes, memory deluge. Like reporting water into eyes through it just like finds you that. It's, you know, on some level, it's like almost like a restricted dig through time on a body.
Mm-hmm.
6 cards is a lot of cards.
It is a lot of cards.
Now we've all cast Collected Company and just put all of those cards on the bottom of our deck.
Yeah.
So you can't not miss, but I mean, it's hard. It's hard to miss, especially with like MDFCs. Like you could increase the like spell count in your deck.
The spell count, yeah.
And then you're just like, awesome. I guess I get to like hit, you know, 85% of the time.
Right.
No, like this is, again, like I just worry, like, is this the kind of card that like sees standard play now?
I don't know. I don't think it's quite powerful enough for standard play.
No, I mean, like I'm sure you can like put together like a 12 spell limited deck.
Yeah.
And like this just always hits or comes close to it, and then the card is amazing.
Well, like think about Coco. Like what were the numbers on Coco? You could have the 4 Collected Companies and maybe 4 other spells that weren't creatures. So like, I mean, the math on this would have to be pretty similar.
Mm-hmm. So like you have 4 Cocos, maybe 4 other creatures, and then just all instants and sorceries.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about the like pre-board, God, the pre-board Epiphany decks. They have no creatures.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is kind of your draw spell. Right? This is on like Memory Deluge lets you hit lands, but this is kind of your like a cheaper Memory Deluge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if this comes down on turn 3, though, this is competing for the same spot that you have iteration at.
Yeah, true. And like you're not gonna get rid of iteration like for the like, iteration hold up fading hope.
Yeah.
But like I think that we didn't talk about Thalia, but like I think part of Thalia's job is to hurt iteration.
Could be.
Right? Like you're on the play as the white aggressive deck. You play Thalia and you keep them off of their iteration on turn 3.
Yeah.
And like that forces them to play cheaper, like lower cost removal. So now they're having to play like Shock to deal with Thalia. So yeah, like this is a creepy card.
Yeah.
But
disturbing artwork.
Yes, very disturbing, but it's interesting nonetheless. Like, I mean, you know, we came up with like 3 ideas for it, which is a good thing. And with that, we have come to the end of
finally
set review. Hey, we're like compared to a lot of the other ones.
It wasn't a 4-hour episode, but
It was not. We're pushing 3 though.
Yeah.
So if you're watching the show, we are both yawning. We're both old.
Yes. I'm ready for bed.
So am I. So if you like this and want to interact with us and get us on Twitter, you can find us at Casual Tripod.
Yep. You can also find us on Facebook at CasualTryHardMTG. If you don't use social media and you want to interact with us, you can always send us a direct email, show@CasualTryHardMTG.com. I have gotten a lot more emails lately, so it's a good place to, reach out, let us know what you're thinking. If you got any questions, any show ideas, if you want us to look at a deck, anything at all, hit us up. If you're looking to pick up any of these cards, maybe spec on Brian's glorious Sunrise there, you can do so using our TCG Player affiliate link, and we would greatly appreciate it. Just follow or go to tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. Use that to navigate to TCG Player. Anything you purchase after following that link will get a little cut off to help keep the show going. Or you can support us a little bit more directly at patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. Patrons get early access to show notes. They get access to our pre-show. You get on my my good list for sending out some thank yous once in a while. And it helps us out, helps keep the show going, pays for our equipment and hosting fees and all that sort of stuff. So hop on over to patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg, throw a couple bucks in the pot. We really appreciate it. Another way you can interact with us is on Discord. There should be a link in the description. There's a link on all our social media. Follow that link, join our Discord, and join the conversation. We talk about all sorts of stuff in there, and we'd love to have you. It's another great way to, post up any show ideas or things that you guys want to hear about, questions you want answered. There's a whole section in there for deck critiques. Like if you've got a list that you want a little bit of help with, you can post it up in there and we'll take a peek and maybe make some suggestions. So Discord's a pretty cool place to hang out. And then we have our YouTube channel. You can watch this episode on YouTube with our smiling faces, our slideshow. You can read the cards along with us. You can look at some of that super creepy artwork. We will also have probably some draft videos going up at some point once the set releases. And maybe at some point, if I can get my hand on some sealed product, I'll do some box openings. But if I do, they're going to be late because there's supply chain issues. Surprise, surprise.
We're getting supply chain.
Yeah. I won't have my hands on it this week. Maybe next week. We'll see what happens. I don't have anything else. I think that's a show.
I think we made it.
All
so
right.
with that, we'll catch you on the internet.
Yeah, we'll catch you on the internet.